All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. We're gonna start the meeting of May 11th, Park and Rec Commission. And we'll start with audience of citizens. And our first guest is Chief McNally, the Berlin PD. Thanks for joining us.
Well, are they citizens? Are you citizens?
They are.
You want to go first?
You know,
I would let them go first.
okay, I'm not even sure what you're.
Yeah, you
Okay,
just need to state your name and your address for the record.
right.
Kimberly Usmani,
Yeah.
291 Sprucebrook Road,
Kim, what's your last name?
USMANI,
But
And what was the address?
291
Spruceburg.
Sprucebrook. Yep.
Thank you.
I wasn't entirely sure if we had to come here, but I did speak to someone. We're looking for, I joined this lady on the board of Families Promise in Central Connecticut. It's a 501(c) to help with homelessness of families mostly with involving children. And they had it going quite well until the pandemic. And basically lost all volunteers, coffers are down to nothing. And I was there when Jess had to take calls and say, I can refer you to like 211. I can't do anything for you right now. It was frustrating. So that's how I figured I wanted to get involved. To try to do some fundraising to help them out and get them going. So living down the street from Crystal Creek, I thought that might be a great place to have like a walkathon and involve the community. So I did call the Board of Ed. They gave me all the numbers for the PTOs and all that to try to get, the kids involved.
okay,
And I just thought it'd be a great venue because it's paved, it's not a hard walk, there's a huge parking lot. I don't know about I've walked there with my dog, but I don't know about how the facility works. That was another question we had, if it was gonna be, if we could use the facility in case someone had to use the restroom. We don't need the whole thing, but.
so this is, yeah, it's actually fairly easy. You would contact Parks and Rec Department.
Okay.
Jen's department.
Is that you?
We spoke on the phone.
Yes. I
And
spoke to you on the
Debbie,
phone.
who's online, handles all our Pistol Creek reservations. When we spoke on the phone, you weren't sure if you wanted to use the building. So now that, because if you were just
I didn't
using,
think of it, and she said, what about restrooms? And I went, hey,
if you're just
Right.
using the trails in the parking lot to do a walkathon,
Yeah.
we would just
Yeah.
like to have an idea around how many people, because we would need to let the police know for traffic concerns.
okay,
Also, if you're charging a fee, that needs to be taken we need to get permission from the Parks and Rec Commission and Town Council, but I'm
Right.
gonna express that you weren't looking to charge a fee.
yeah, it's just whatever the kids or whoever's walking is gonna
Right.
donate towards.
Full trans,
Yeah.
and you're not selling food or anything. We talked about that as well.
We are not going to, we weren't planning on it. But when I had talked to you, you said if we decided on it later, we could,
It needs to go through the process.
Right,
It's like a 6-week
right.
process.
yeah,
So full transparency, if you're walking on the trails, we can't close, it's a public park, so we can't close it down. So there may be other people there with their dogs and everything. If you're looking to rent the building, you'd have to let us know the date and the time to see if it's even available. We don't rent the building out in June, July, or August because we have our summer camp. And we don't rent it out from like second week of October all the way till middle of January because we do our holiday program there. And that starts.
so we're actually looking for the first,
Yep,
first,
October 7th.
first or second week of October.
Okay, so
That would be,
I'm gonna give you. Before you leave, can you give me your email?
Sure.
And then we can send you the paperwork, have you fill out the paperwork. And that would be it. There's a
I mean, I
record-
did see it online. Is it just,
Yeah, it's the Pistol Creek Reservation form, yeah.
I can handle that?
And there is a fee. If you don't need the outside deck, you would just pay the indoor fee. Deb, am I missing anything?
Well, there's a staff cost. That's $60 an hour with an additional hour. That cannot be waived. That's a set fee because it's not a budgeted fee, so.
now is that for,
That's to allow a
get
staff
in the
member
building.
working to let you into the building.
okay, all right.
Because it is a locked facility on the town property.
Okay. And then now, as far as you said, how did the police department come? Is that an addition, we have to pay to have someone?
That's something the
Traffic,
police
or-
would decide if it's, if you have any idea how, if you're talking, a couple hundred people, then there might be traffic concerns. The police may have to put a police officer on, but if it's.
What your route is.
In the past, we've had about 75 to 100 people.
Police would probably just, the chief
You're
is
gonna be
right
on-
here,
On
so.
the Pistol Creek property, right? You're not gonna go out on the road.
It's across the street. So the parking lot's across the street and then the walking thing is across. I just thought we would have somebody sending, I think, us.
But you're
Kind of.
gonna walk within the Pistol Creek grounds?
Yeah, but it's across the
No, I
street.
understand.
So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I was saying to her, maybe we could have, an adult there, just to make sure the kids get across. There's a walkway. I didn't know how you.
But you're all
Right here.
congregating in the parking lot and then crossing at the same time. So it's not like it's constant crossing of the
Right.
street.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna have to sign up on a permit anyways, right?
Have them congregate across the street. and walk
There is a
around.
crosswalk. There's a
No
crosswalk.
permit for this?
No,
Yeah, there is a crosswalk.
But if you're gonna have kids there, I mean,
Oh, oh,
it's really up to Fleet, but not to put them on the spot, because quite frankly, there's a process. Fill out the forms, have all your details ready. And then, think about the building. We wanna do that.
Pretty sure we're gonna have to.
Why?
is there a porta?
Just
there
our-
are porta
There
potties?
is a restroom.
There are porta potties over.
There's a porta
Just
potty,
one.
but if there's other, you could reach out to companies that are trying to get more business and get involved. I'll send the company to Jen, maybe reach out to them.
Okay.
His name is Vinny. He might be willing to come down and donate a couple of restrooms. I know that the drain doctor does it for certain events for like veterans and stuff.
I'm gonna do my septic. I can call them too.
I just think if that's the only reason you're opening the building, it
Yeah.
might, it might
That
be
would be pretty
costly
much it.
just to have it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because if we can get away with this as little as cost.
Right.
Are you married to October seventh?
Sorry,
You said October seventh,
well,
married to that date?
the 7th or the 14th. Depends on you.
But if we're not using the building,
If you're not using the building, it doesn't
Then
matter.
That's not on the 7th, they're- but,
Is that September?
September now.
uh, But I don't wanna speak for that.
We'd also have to make sure cross country doesn't fall there. Yeah, we'd also have to make sure that there's not a cross country meet because that is their trail.
Isn't
That's
that
where
right?
they-
Isn't that?
You're gonna do it
That's
on
the second October. I got that paperwork today,
Second,
the second weekend,
yeah, that's what. the-
October 14th.
That's-
Yeah, so stay away from the 14th. No, that would be good. That would be good because they're at Sage, yeah.
Okay, all right, so more towards the 14th then.
So I think, if you get in touch with Jen, she's gonna ask for your email, she'll send you information.
Oh, you
Fill
guys
out
have
the
the form, you're
form.
good. You said you know the form is?
I
Yes,
saw
it's
it
fine.
online. so-
Yeah. And Debbie's contact info is on the form, you just send it right to her.
Okay. So that's
Or Ally's.
it.
I'm sorry? Okay, no problem.
Well,
No.
thank you for listening.
Yeah, no, no. You get that, Chase, we'll let you go first.
Thank you. Thank you for leave, okay?
Do you mind if we get your name and address too for the record?
Let me just come over. and-
Yeah, sure.
I feel like I'm in your own meeting.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sarah. See. Lidkey, L-I-E.
Thank you. That'd be awesome.
Not a girl.
Oh, that's okay.
Two of them. Harding at it.
Please, I knew there was.
Affiliated with Brooklyn Congregational and.
Not the last entrance, but there's another spot. I just go there and I
They do have ties to the town. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Hey,
Thank you
thank
all.
you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks very much for that. We weren't sure what they were.
No problem.
Okay, so Chief McNally, I think Jen might have passed on some questions we had. No,
Did you send me questions?
Yeah, yesterday.
I never saw them,
okay, that's all right.
so start from the beginning.
So let me, so,
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Did you send them to M. McNally, did you send them to police chief?
And McNally. That's where I always email you.
Yeah, I know.
Let me pull it up right now.
No, that's okay.
here, I have it right now.
You guys can just ask me the questions. I'd rather have a conversation.
No, that's okay. So,
It's not gonna be that bad.
I mean, just generally. From what we understand, we know you guys have a lot going on, but generally, how do you guys visit the parks, or can you visit the parks, given the staff that you have, fields included with, obviously with that vandalism? And it seems to be there's, you know, a new type of vandalism happening, the latest being, I guess, porta potties that are the latest that have occurred. So again, just trying to understand what can the police do? What has the police done?
Well, the fact that you're asking this question makes me think the police haven't done much. So here's what the story is, right? Down in Berlin, we're all living here, been here a long time. Your police department is the same size it was in 1975. Your problems have changed. Let me make sure I'm clear. The strength of the department is the same as 1975. But we don't have a full strength department. Nobody in Connecticut, except for Rocky Hill, has a full strength department. So the average police department, I know it sounds like I'm lecturing you, and I really don't want to lecture, just have a conversation. The average police department in Connecticut is about 25% short. We're 35% short. We got 8 openings. Just before I came here, I just was able to get a special meeting for the police commission to get 2 people to try and make the academy next week in New Britain. I had 3 seats. I couldn't get 3 cops, 3 potentials. Takes a year to make a police officer in Connecticut, full year. We have people quitting halfway through the full year. It's just, nobody wants the job. And I've been doing this 40 years. So I'm laying the foundation of why you're not seeing officers in your fields. 3 years ago, during COVID, you saw your officers more because things were locked down. Well, the world has opened up again, right? COVID is just, half the country thinks it didn't exist, half the country's living in fear. I don't have to tell you, you can turn on any news channel, read any magazine, or anything, and you will see that we are in serious trouble because it's not just me. You're telling me you can't get people to work for you. We can't get anybody to come to work. And our officers in this town are going from call to call. So I came from Danbury after 37.5 years there. That's how Danbury ran with 160 police officers. That's how New Britain runs. That's how Meriden runs to our south. Small towns didn't have that issue until about past 2-3 years, really past 2 years. We don't even have enough officers. We're running 3. That's our minimum manpower number. But 3 doesn't mean I have 3 fresh officers. To make the 3, I have to order in people from before the shift that are working or people that are coming on working. So every officer is working double shifts and on their days off. And because the way the union has it, we have union, okay, right? So the way the union is, if you're a union member, lieutenant all the way down to the junior most patrolman, they get ordered in. So my lieutenant in charge of investigations could be working tonight from 11 to 3 in the morning to cover a shift. It's countering this big push on police wellness in this country because the officers are working a lot of hours. You just have to drive down Farmington and over in Porter's Pass, and then you see the road working off. Look at the badges, look at the patches. They're not Berlin officers. TPC starts next week. We have Berlin officers working doubles. They also go and bail out Cromwell because Cromwell has the same problem. Rocky Hill is the only place, they're very affluent, I guess. You guys take home cars, give them $10,000 signing bonuses, and there's a waiting list again in Rocky Hill. Nobody else is doing that. So our officers try, like when you give me some complaints or whatever, we put them out in roll call and we tell our officers, hey, listen, there's a problem with people older ages fishing in the pond at Sage Park. And a woman's taking pictures of the signs and sending them to us. Can you swing over there and take a look and see what's going on? Problem is, there's nobody to swing over. Last month at the police commission meeting, we had the whole Brandigee Lane neighborhood come to our police commission meeting. And they're very upset about the quality of life issues that they're having. And at the town council meeting next Tuesday, the police commission chairman, Steve Wilson, and I are going to the to the town council meeting, to try and get the town council to address some issues with maybe lighting, controlling that parking lot. And we just don't have enough people. We're so inundated with calls for service. There's no, I mean, I can lie here and tell you, well, oh yeah, tell me your complaints, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna do a job, and then you're gonna get robbed tonight, and you're like, that guy really screwed me over and didn't tell me anything.
You put it perfectly in your email to me. There's no time for proactive patrol.
Yeah, we're not
Every
being proactive.
patrol
We're
is
trying.
answering Calls. You're spending the entire patrol shifts answering calls, so you don't have time to do extra.
Yeah.
patrols anymore.
So all the cars get broken into, right? Throughout
Yeah,
Connecticut.
yes, right.
Berlin's a great target. We know why we're being targeted. The people that are breaking into our cars have no consequences when they get caught. We can't pursue them, law keeps us from pursuing them because they're under 18 or 18 and under, which is that age, raise the age thing is going higher. I follow the legislation daily now because I can't believe some of the things that are happening here. I don't want to say our hands are tied because my officers are just as frustrated as the people that are being victimized. And in a way, they're kind of being victimized too, because they can't perform the jobs they were trained to do. And so we're trying to do different things. I brought in extra shifts last week, but then I ran out of people because they can only work so many hours. You can only work 16 hours a day. So yeah, you know, we try to address our issues,
How
but
about more cameras on? Like to look at it after, if there's damage done or whatever, we just install some cameras at Sage.
yeah, you're using
know
cameras,
that it's
correct? You're using
before.
camera sticks in them, right?
Same ones they're using.
Oh, so who's watching them?
Brian Freeman has the app, I have the app, installed.
Mhm.
The same ones they're utilizing in town hall.
So the thing about a camera is, if you have clear imaging, I have not seen your cameras, but say somebody goes out on the ball fields and does hole shots with their car and you get a license plate on the car, right? And it's clear on the camera, then, you know, you file a complaint with the police department and we'll have somebody follow up on it. And then you gotta try and find out who the driver is, because a lot of times it's mommy and daddy's car or a stolen car, right? And we could go that avenue. A lot of Connecticut is under cameras. In fact, there's hardly any place you can go in the state where you're not being recorded. But nobody has the people looking at them until something happens.
Right.
So it's a reaction response. Cameras are never proactive. And putting up a sign that says under surveillance, camera monitoring. Like I was up on Linden the other day because they're complaining about the ATVs coming in through the power lines over from Meriden. And they got signs up all over, and we know those, they don't have cameras. It's a method to try and stop some people. It's not deterred anybody in 50 years,
Yeah,
it's not
interesting.
gonna deter them in 50 more years. You know, so one of the things that we're trying to look at solutions to address these quality of life issues with citizen involvement. So yeah, maybe, you know, a camera, it's kind of like. The interesting thing about cameras, you all go to a bank, right? Every bank has cameras, yet our banks get robbed all the time. We don't catch a lot of bank robbers, because even though they have cameras, they buy the cheapest ones, they're not the best. Some banks were built a long time ago and they didn't upgrade their systems. Sometimes somebody doesn't realize they gotta check the cameras, sometimes the cameras record on a system, but then if you can take the image off that system onto a jump drive or a thumb drive, then we need the software, which we don't have that technology. We're a small agency to be able to view all these things. So a lot of these vendors will sell you a product, say this is the best thing since sliced white bread. I get all these calls for camera stuff all the time. And then what they realize is every camera is got a technology issue. So we'd have Freeman doing cameras a lot more than he's doing now. I know they're trying to put more cameras in this building too. So that might not be the best answer.
Is there
Yeah,
a
but
best answer?
Yeah, without you guys having staff, without
What do you
having
do?
cameras.
We just continue to allow, I mean,
Yeah, we're like.
So. What's your second question?
no, nothing against. No, again, we understand. And we.
So-
Because
appreciate
maybe
it.
your second
Great.
question, the answer ties in the what.
So, we had the pavilion at Sage Park was being used.
When
A month,
the high school was vandalized a couple nights ago.
right, and I know, and I saw the guys there, they were cleaning up. Saw the. So the pavilion was vandalized, somebody tried to shove a tree branch up the chimney. Lit a garbage can on fire and threw it right off the side of the building.
This is an overnight thing.
Anyways, it was messy. So the point is that we're, maybe they were there. 10 cars in the parking lot, walked
Probably.
over there, partying up, whatever, having a good old time. 2 more minutes and they light the whole thing on fire, So you can't swing patrol cars. That's basically what you're telling me, right? You don't have the.
Well, I can put on my concern chief's hat, empathize with you, say, oh yeah, we can get a patrol officer to swing through there. But they can't stay there.
No, not stay, but every so often,
Yeah.
it's a big parking lot.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the police do quite a few drive-throughs through that parking lot. Because every time they drive through the parking lot, they follow the directional arrows. When they drive through the parking lot, they trip the candle.
Yes.
So if you go back and look at it, at 147, there's a police officer driving to 347. There was 12 cars that pulled in last week at like 10:32. 10:37, after they blew up a bunch of fireworks, here came a police officer rolling through. By the time that police officer rolled through, those 12 cars were already out of it.
What day was that?
So that's Friday.
Yeah, but are you getting notified immediately about the trip? In other words, who's watching?
So
that
those
camera
cars
that's
left
getting-
there,
Mine was just nothing but good luck, because I was so petrified all night long on Friday that somebody was gonna destroy that place like they did the night before.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would have been up Schitt's Creek without a paddle with a softball game going on and all the events on Saturday.
Nobody's monitoring the cameras 24/7.
All right, so nobody's watching the cameras.
And they don't buzz
They
you
don't-
when someone trips. I know, I
He has the
understand.
app on his phone. I refuse to put it on my
understand.
phone. I can look at it the
I
next
mean,
day on
that's
the
what the
computer.
chief is saying.
Yeah, after
No
they
one's
left
monitoring, no one's monitoring.
I know where the cars went. They went down to the truck bar that night. And we had information that there was gonna be a takeover, they call them takeovers at the truck bar. So we went to the truck bar, we put stop sticks that we only have a couple sets to try and keep them corralled in the parking lot. They just drove over the curbs, got in pursuits, crashed cars, and everything left. We got one kid from Fairfield. Yeah. Minor from Fairfield. That was the same night. So I bet that's the crew. So you make an arrest. It ties off an officer for a few hours, an 8-hour shift, especially when it involves juveniles. We can't hold juveniles. We have to try and locate family members, come get them. Most of the people doing the damage are considered juveniles in Connecticut now. We don't have a juvenile justice system that works, hasn't worked in a few years. We don't even have juvenile holding facilities. So it used to be that you could hold a juvenile for up to 6 hours. If a parent or a guardian, significant other didn't come, then you just kick them back out to the street. DCF doesn't want to get involved, the Department of Families doesn't come for juveniles. There's no wraparound services. This legislature did us a big favor last year. They passed the legislative act to increase holding the juveniles to 8 hours. The general public doesn't know this. We elect people, we don't follow up with what they're doing. We're their bosses. I have a personal stake in this. I follow up every day on the boss. What did we do yesterday? We decided to exonerate witches from the 1600s in the state of Connecticut. Today, we pushed through the legalization of psilocybin mushrooms, magic mushrooms. We're all old enough here to remember those days. We already have marijuana. I can't call it marijuana anymore. It's got a negative connotation, so we have to use the good feeling term of cannabis, which we have people driving around stoned out of their gourds every night. And we don't have a way to do a DWI on a person with cannabis unless they're really falling down because there's no test system. We can get alcohol, no problem. Drugs, we don't have that. If one of my guys makes a DUI arrest on that midnight shift when all your stuff is happening, that's a minimum 3 hours in the building. Because you have to do 2 tests, they have to be so many minutes apart. You have to do all this processing, so. Berlin, when I got here, was very big on motor vehicle stuff. This might get freed up in October, because October 1st, they passed a law that takes away 3/4 of the reasons why we stop motor vehicles in the state of Connecticut, and we won't be stopping motor vehicles anymore. So maybe my office will be freed up to do more proactive patrols. Our big proactive patrol issue has been the targeting of vehicles for theft and break-ins.
Just
We-
cruising neighborhoods.
You know, I would like to say cruising neighborhoods, but we'll get a call. A lot of people have Ring doorbells or
Yeah.
other cameras. They see something, we go to that neighborhood and like he just said, they're already in the other neighborhood. And they're not in singular groups, they're working in multiple groups. So they steal 5 or 6 cars in the area. They hit all the towns around here. State troopers car got hit again last night here. They're targeting unmarked police vehicles, they're targeting guys with take-home cars, looking for guns, looking for ballistic vests. Oh, these are juveniles, by the way. The brains are not developed until they're 25 years of age, so. And I started doing this 40 years. I did crimes against children for 5 years. I was on the task force with the feds back in the 90s. We treated kids that were bad and not gonna get better as bad kids. Not every kid is savable. I know my friends in DCF and I've been involved in youth programs for over 40 years. And they get mad at me because I say that. Not every kid is savable. Some of the ones that are really preying on Connecticut right now are not the ones we're saving. And so, yeah, we'll try and do the patrols. We put the information out every roll call, just do this, do that. Sometimes domestic violence way up in this country, way up. A domestic call requires 2 officers. So now I have 1 officer to cover the town. On an average shift, usually within 2 to 3 hours of the shift, all our officers are tied up and we have nobody. So now we're relying on help from Newington, help from New Britain, help from Meriden. They're also relying on us when they get tied up. Cromwell, Newington, Southington. So we're all trying to work in this big mix.
You gave us all this, the bad news. I'm assuming that's the bad news. That's
Yeah.
the bad is you.
I have good news though.
Yeah, that's
I have
my
good
question.
news, right?
What, here, okay, so you guys, chiefs, you guys get together once in a while.
Every month.
brainstorm, Talk about stuff, where we're going. How are we gonna turn the corner here? This is our new reality.
Both,
So how do we
both.
perform?
I'm not even telling you this as chief of police. I'm telling you this is Matt McNally. Less than 5% of the population votes.
I voted on the budget. the
I
other
know.
day, There was no one there.
Please, I know, it loses by 15 votes. Yeah, and it's funny thing about the chiefs of police, they're about 30% short too. Everybody's packing it in. Because they're just as frustrated. I think we should look at out of the box type solutions, and I can't tell you your business. But like just a couple things.
Yeah.
This woman that just spoke just now, I'm sitting here and I'm saying October 7th. She's talking about October 7th. I already know what's happening on October 7th because we've got a lot of things. This town does a lot of things. And I already know I don't have any manpower to help her on October 7th. We're in May. The numbers are gonna get worse. I've got people retiring, I got people leaving. So he says, oh, maybe we could use the police cadets. Well, that's a new program that we've had for less than a year here. They're kids, and I tried to budget some money to keep that program afloat. I think it got cut out. I was saying, geez, maybe I could put a kid in that crosswalk to help the 75 people cross from one side of the street to the other side of the street and not have union issues with the police, right?
The school crossing guards, are those part of the police department, or is that Board of Ed?
No, there's only 2 and they're part of the police department.
They are.
Yeah, but they work a very limited schedule.
Yeah, maybe, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't be able to use.
it's okay,
a
what?
crossing guard.
That's where one of our questions was, how can we help? So if it is, we all gotta work together.
So I
You
think
can't
one of the
be-
things that I was thinking about before I came here was that like some of your issues during the daylight hours or the early evening hours, maybe as a commission, you should be looking at employing some park ranger type non-sworn individuals for I don't know, $15 an hour, if you can get somebody for $15 an hour.
Yes, yes, dog wardens.
I'm rearing dog wardens.
Oh, it's not like on
I mean, I think Greg Star has a lot of free time on his hands.
You know, like I said, I work a lot with teens and young people, and one of the things that is an important facet to this problem is that if we don't give them something to do, and not every kid's gonna play sports. By and large, most kids don't play sports. They're sitting in their basements playing video games, staying home. Until they're 30. So. It's hard to get people out of this mode that they're in, that somebody's gonna take care of them. But if you could offer some opportunities, maybe get some volunteers, talk to the school and say, listen. What if we did a program for the summer where we got some seniors from the or they're gonna be seniors from the high school, and we're gonna give them a credit. And they're gonna help us with, you know, maintaining a visible physical deterrent, a presence, not a security presence, because that requires insurance and training and liabilities and all. But you know, I know what the problem is. You can't even open up your pools because you can't get lifeguards,
Right.
because the kid's not gonna work for $20 an hour.
Well, it's the same problem though, so that's an excellent idea. We stick two kids on shifts at the basketball courts up Berlin High, right?
Mhm.
They're not policemen. They're
No.
gonna sit there with a cell phone.
Mhm.
And when somebody does something wrong, they're gonna dial 911. Right?
Mhm.
And then what
And
happens?
then what happens?
And if you don't get a Berlin cop, you're gonna get somebody.
Like 45 minutes
Are
later,
we-
and we
are
still
we
have the
putting
same
those
problem.
kids at
The
risk?
911 call's a little different. What?
We putting those kids at risk, sitting there making that call?
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know, because
These are the.
you'd have to vet this out. This is something you'd have
So
to
I
think
mean,
about.
this is
I mean,
okay.
it's a good idea. I like the thought of it. Just, I mean. It's the same problem because it's not a police officer.
Yeah, but neither are my police cadets. I've got 26 of them right now. I came from an agency where I had 178 police cadets and 160 cops. And we had them do certain things that were really not enforcement related.
Yeah.
In fact, where I came from, when we had to set up the pods, the points of dispenser with the health department for shots of COVID and all. In a community of around 5,000 people with 67 languages spoken, my cadet program worked with the health department, still does. Some of them actually got jobs and careers in health now. With the public health, making sure that they directed traffic, they interpreted, they helped the intake. I think that sometimes we don't think about the young people as a resource. We think about protecting them and all, but I'm not sure if that's the way to go. I've been a much harder person on young people, and yet for
So
some
the
reason I have
police
1,000 teenagers.
Those are a great program and they've been around for a while, but Berlin, we really don't have,
You just got them last June 2nd.
we never had it.
No,
Wow, I thought I was seeing police,
Well, they're
maybe
all over.
Newington.
oh,
I guess.
Southington has, them, Meriden has, them. Meriden and New Britain have huge programs.
That would be great.
Yeah, you know,
I agree
that's-
with you.
it's a good program, but again. It involves training, it involves some money.
Yeah.
Everything involves money, there's no
Right.
way around it.
Right.
And you gotta have people that wanna do it too and have heart.
And quite frankly.
That are
if Rocky
responsible
Hill-
enough.
If Rocky Hill can get the cops, because they're paying the cops maybe what they should be paid, given the risk involved, then we need to step up. I mean, otherwise, you're never gonna get.
So the town is trying to do one thing to really
Yeah.
try and help us
With the
retain some
pension.
officers, and that's the pension.
Yeah,
But that's been going on for 3 years,
right.
and
Switch back.
they're trying to go back to a pension.
Without the annuity. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes to it.
That's what, they, yeah. I don't wanna get.
Listen, the people come in and they sit down for an interview, and they say, what do you got for benefits? They don't even ask what the pay is anymore.
Right.
And, the state hates to hear me say this. I teach at 2 universities, so I say it all the time. We passed a police accountability bill at 3:00 in the morning with no input from anybody in the justice system. And then what you did, you took the people that are certified police officers, you made them like free agents. You understand football? They're gonna go where the best deal is. So if you're gonna pay a guy $100,000, and he's gonna pay $101,000. The guy that you just spent $100,000 training is gonna go work for him. And I say, geez, I need a guy. I'm gonna talk to your guy and say, I'm gonna give you $102,000. And maybe I'll have, that's why we're seeing these things like signing bonuses. There's signing bonuses of $25,000 right now being offered. Berlin is down, doing any of that. We don't have the pension. I told them, make sure we get the pension before we go into contract negotiations. We're in contract negotiations without the pension. Tomorrow, they're gonna go upstairs, they're gonna talk about the raises, the police department union's probably looking for 6% pay raises. The town's already said they can't pay more than 2.25. They'll go to arbitration. We'll be at the state a year from now trying to figure out who's getting paid, who's got the ability to pay. You all are victims of the budget crisis, just like every other department in the town. And so it's, again, it's a multifaceted problem. I'm looking for some ideas. I'm open to suggestions, other than, you know, we're trying to recruit people. We just started a recruiting team. We sent them to the colleges right before school and then this past 2
So
weeks.
the money's there to pay those officers that you have, the slots that you're in.
Who told you that?
You just.
No, I
told
didn't
me.
tell
You
you
said
that.
you're short 8 guys and you're recruiting.
I'm short 8 and the council cut 4 positions of pay. So they said, when the budget passes, if I can get those 4 positions to come back to try and get the 4 positions money. Let me ask you, you're a businessman?
Yeah.
Do you hire people and then say, when I get the money, I'll pay you? Or do you have in your mind what you gotta pay the person before you hire them?
You better know what you're gonna pay to hire.
Correct.
We're looking for money for a playground, and you can't hire the police officers. So we-
Right.
Yeah, because they said, well, you're 8 short, so we can cut 4 positions. We won't say anything.
I know what they're saying, I know,
Yeah,
right.
And we cut the 4
We
positions.
get to those budget meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
I said,
Never seen anything like this. So what happens is, even if it takes me a month or 2 to try and get somebody, finally get somebody that passes everything, passes the site, passes the polygraph. You know, and then you hopefully hire them, and then the next day you gotta go and say, I need to get the money to pay them. That's backwards.
But
Backwards.
you put them through the academy. Berlin pays the bill to put them through, get them trained, get them a police
Yes.
officer ready. And then they can turn around and go to Rocky Hill.
Well, you make it sound very simplistic, but it isn't, because what happens is you can bill the other agency if they take the officer within the first 2 years. Your first year is mostly training, and then you start your second year into a probationary year. So if they've been on the job 2 years, then they become a free agent.
And they're actually worth more because they got all the training.
Absolutely.
And then they're gonna go somewhere.
So we actually just posted for lateral entry where I'm trying to steal from somebody else. And what I'm using as the bait on the hook is that we're gonna get a pension. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to use that
Yeah,
bait because we still don't have the pension.
Haven't we got officers from New Britain that did that? We hired their team here,
But they already got the pension.
but they already have one.
Yeah, they have their pension in
But
the
now
free.
you're going to give. Possibly.
The guys from New Britain, they have to buy in. It's not cheap. It's a lot of money.
So we thought we were just gonna give you a hard time about trying to.
You can give me a hard time all night long.
I know. What's the point? You don't have the personnel to do it. I mean,
So,
I'm gonna tell you to go patrol Sage Park when I can't have my friend's cars being broken too.
That's, you got the whole picture. It's a matter of triage.
Yeah.
Like, which is more important? Well, and that's why I didn't want to come here and say, I can tell you that we will help you. You could send me a letter and say, Chief, like I get them every day, Chief, I want a cop in this neighborhood tonight. And I say, okay. But
So
I know
you're-
you're probably not gonna see
I
that
understand
cop.
the reality, but.
So the
you know,
police
it's just-
chief- I'm sorry, yourself and Steve Wilson are going to the next town council meeting?
Yeah, but that's for the Brandy problem.
Right, which is,
And we're gonna ask for lights, cameras, and a solution from the towns who decided to put a parking lot at the top of the road with no way to monitor it, which has become nothing but a place for
you're
sex,
talking,
drugs, and rock and roll.
okay. no, no.
We're stacked up.
Okay, you're talking about-
Randy's been like that for
Ages.
Yeah. why-
Just like
why now.
Lyndon, when I went up there in the Manaforts, was like saying to me, you gotta do something about the ATVs. We need another mafia block to move over. Well, you can see the path has been moved, and I said, I'm not gonna put the block up, because guess what's gonna happen? Somebody goes down there, no matter what, they get in a crash in there, they get hurt, we gotta get the
Can't get in
injured
there.
people out, I've gotta be able to get in. So they got mad at me, they said, but we gotta move this, I said, we've been doing this for 50 years. If it isn't working in 50 years, we've gotta think of something else.
Right.
And nobody ever wants to hear the truth. Everybody wants to hear the sugar-coated version. So, you know,
How about the basketball courts? Is anybody
we've
agreeing?
been having people go down because of all the trash that was there. And, you know, interestingly enough, some of your complaints and the Board of Ed's complaints are exactly the same. And I meet with the superintendent every month. And they're like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We want to put more cameras in. We want to put, you know, they want to put cameras in the dispatch center, right? I said, that's great. We have one dispatcher.
Yeah, just do that.
That dispatcher takes the call, takes the report, then dispatches the call. It worked in the 70s. It might have even worked into the 90s. Because Berlin's a pretty safe community. But like every place else, we don't have enough of anything in every place. But guess what? And it's hard because just like everybody in this room, I'm a taxpayer, none of us want to raise our taxes. But for years, we always do more with less. You have been doing it as a commission. When you said, I need a new playground, and somebody from the finance board said, well, I drove around and the playground looks the same to me. And oh, by the way, I went out there at lunchtime, and there was no kids in the playground. And I said, wow, there really is something in the water here, because the kids are in school at noon, right? I mean, so. But nobody says that, nobody, one of the great things about Berlin, nobody's gonna tell the emperor he's not wearing clothes. Well, I do. I do, I'm that guy that tells you, you know, you're right, and
But-
it's very frustrating.
But let me ask you this, so you're gonna be at the next meeting, I'll go to the next meeting.
Yeah, I have to go to the next meeting, I don't have a choice.
Right, no, so next, right, and like, I'll stand up there. And I'll say, you know, we even had the chief of police come to our meeting, because we wanna talk about the vandalism that's been occurring. It's been growing, it's been getting worse, and I mean, as a taxpayer, I want the police to be full. I want, if we got somebody paying police force more money and they're staffed, then something's not working. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it ends all, because
No,
there's training and all
Because even
that,
if we
and
catch
you gotta
you,
do it over time.
if we catch you for the vandalism and we charge them,
Yeah,
we don't prosecute the case, that's the court. What is the court doing with the juvenile cases?
Send it up to us.
I don't wanna put name to the person, but the guy that's in charge of prosecutions in GA 15 in the Britain, that's our court. Told me even with DNA match on a stolen car, he won't prosecute that case if it involves a juvenile. And then told me I was wasting time with I had 4 detectives, I'm down to 2 detectives. My detectives are wasting their time processing the broken in cars because they're not gonna prosecute these cases. So what I have to do, I have to tell my bosses, my lieutenants and all, hey, you work for the town of Berlin. I don't care what the prosecutor says. I want the cars processed. I want physical evidence collected, and I want it put aside so that when the person of prominence, maybe Governor Lamont comes to town and somebody breaks into his car, then they're gonna pull all the stops out and they're gonna wanna prosecute somebody. But generally, the rest of us, we're all victims. Right? My officers are not told not to do their jobs. Actually, we've been all over telling them we need to do more.
Yeah.
We're not, I'm fortunate, the personnel here are, it's like a sports team, which I wish I could say was in a lot of other agencies. We don't have any of the problems that some of these other agencies have. Our problem is our officers are just too thin. There's not enough. And even though we're trying to hire, think about it. When they're doing budgeting, they're like, man, they can't hire anybody in the police department. So let's cut 4 salaries and keep the numbers low because they can't get them anyways. And then we'll tell the public, And oh, by the way, chief, when you need it, we support you. We'll give you the 4 salaries. I would never do that, but that's how they did it.
So a
So
lot
what are
of,
you gonna do about, what are you gonna suggest about Brandy Lane? About the.
Well, the police commission
Like,
wants to put lights, cameras, they wanna put concrete blocks, chains, locks, but people, they gotta, they want signs. Keep them all over the place, they don't scare anybody. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. And then today they're telling me in the special meeting, I said, well, Steve Wilson says he'll pay half. And Dave Rogan, the other commissioner, says he'll pay half. And I'm sitting there saying, first of all, you can't do this. There's a safety issue involved, but they're the local traffic authority. I'm not. So they can probably do it, even though I think it's crazy. Who's gonna go up there at night to let the guy into his property, unlock the thing, pull the, I mean, it's not a viable solution. Lighting is always a good thing. I can honestly tell you, the more lights you have, the better off you are. And there's all these studies to talk about lighting. Lighting on timers works. Or solar lighting that comes up when you go into a place. Because if they don't see it, when they pull in and it comes on, you have a spook effect. It might deter somebody. Let's see what else. Cameras, everybody likes the cameras. The problem with cameras, you gotta monitor them. Who's gonna monitor the cameras? That's really.
Well, that one saw the particular thing at Sage, the pavilion.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that would have been is if you guys pulled in, saw 10 cars parked there. You know, got out of the car.
Okay, and when we get out of the car,
Right. I
and they
know,
jump in the car, they
everyone
drive
goes,
away, what do we do?
What are you gonna do?
Like I said, we tried the stop stick thing, we got 1 arrest. And the kid was from Fairfield. What are you doing from Fairfield in Berlin at 1 o'clock in the morning? You know,
So what'd you do with the kid?
we were able to get a parent to come up and get him. And then he goes to a juvenile court someplace down in Stanford or Bridgeport or something like that. A lot of the public doesn't know, we closed half our juvenile courts 3 years ago in the state. Long Lane, you all heard of Long Lane at some time, doesn't exist, it's an empty building. We don't do that anymore, we don't incarcerate, there's only 8 beds in the state of Connecticut for juveniles that are serious juvenile offenders, and they're in Hamden. 8.
If one of our questions on the list here was if one of us as a Parks and Rec commissioner came across somebody doing something. What
Okay.
should we do with that? Just call it.
Tell me what to do, come up with a scenario that what they're doing. They're throwing garbage. On the ground.
Yeah.
And you're gonna approach
Using a field, they're playing on a locked field.
a locked field.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Softball, the softball field's locked off. We jump the fence, they're out there.
and they're playing,
Doing some playing. We've got 3 guys on shift. I'm calling you up to swing through Sage Park to come out.
are you gonna confront that person?
I'm not as much as I may sound here, I'm not a confrontational kind of.
No, I'm just, I'm asking.
so I
has.
I have done it, yeah.
What did I say to you?
Well, they're usually kids, right?
Yeah,
And so, I mean, and they'll do it like I was on a Sunday. I'm parking my car to go into Sage, and Steve said he saw me in there. You know, and so, and I'm watching these kids walk by, I'm gonna put the key in the door. And they climb over the fence and get on the field. And I'm going, I walk over, hey gentlemen, what are you doing? Oh, we thought we'd do a little frisbee out here. Oh, well, you know, the gate was locked, but you must have known that because you climbed over it, right? I said, so here's the thing. I said, maybe you don't know this, but no, I'm probably lying, but no, no. Is that the town police department has been on notice to come by and make patrols here. And you could be given a warning, or you could be given a ticket. I don't know. However, if you want your parents to get one of those things, you know, that's okay. But I would suggest you leave now, and I'll do you a favor, I'll open the gate. And I locked the door, and they went out and they went over the person, right? And there were other people on other fields. I don't mind telling them, right? Even the people that are walking their dogs not on a leash. Well, you know, I've been working here for 14 years, and well, that's not the law now, right? I said, I'm sorry, I'm the Park and Rec Commission. I'm just telling you, But you can get a warning and you can get a ticket now in May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's $100, goes to the Superior Court.
But I mean,
What do you think we should? Should we confront them? You know, if
Well-
we feel comfortable,
that's right.
like Greg felt comfortable.
Except for Tony, and,
He's not.
all talk is hilarious.
On every-
Only for dogs.
I have the same problems, I tell people, never go confront me. People are whacked.
That's
They
the
have
thing.
no
We
idea.
don't know.
If this was 5 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, that's not a problem. 5 years later, I worry.
I mean,
I worry
I've
about
been out
people.
with town staff and by myself, I don't feel calm, I'm not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you.
And you know, so the rules are that they can't be on the fields, because the fields are locked. And they climbed over the fence, I listened to everything he said, right, that scenario.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, so let's say you call the PD, and the cop goes out there, probably does what you did, jump, get off the property. We don't issue tickets to parents anymore.
Okay.
So the kid gets the ticket. They don't have to sign for it, they don't have to pay, they don't even have to appear in court. Because they know there's nothing gonna happen, and if they're from out of state, forget it, they're not even existing. So. Most of the time, the officer's gonna say, look, don't do this again and get out of here. If the officer has the time and gets there. on time. If we issue the summons. And they appeal it, let's say they say, okay, I'm gonna pay the ticket, or no, I plead not guilty. And they take a day in court. And they get in front of a magistrate or a judge. And then if they get that far, now we're talking a lot of ifs. Because they're probably gonna go to a prosecutor's gonna toss it. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, maybe they're smart alecks. So the prosecutor says, no, you're getting in front of a magistrate or a judge. And they get in there, so, well, what were you doing? Well, I climbed over the fence, so me and my friend here could play frisbee.
Right.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you a story. I had a case when I was a young officer. Hunting. People hunting on somebody else's property. We go up there. We're cops, we're not DEEP conservation officers. It was a father and his 14-year-old son. And they thought they were on state property, but they were actually on the federal prison property in Danbury. So we got a complaint from the federal prison. Should be FBI, but no, that doesn't work. We go and we take custody of the people, we seize their weapons because they're hunting illegally. And we have to go to court. We have to testify in court. And I'll never forget the judge. He was sitting on the bench and this guy was the hardest judge I ever saw. I said, oh, he's gonna crush these people. You know what the judge asked the father? He goes, you were spending time with your kid hunting? And guess what happened? We got blown away in court. The judge gave back the weapons, told him, look, don't hunt in places that you don't know is not a property. I understand you could get lost, the usual. I applaud you for spending time with your son. And I sat there with another officer and we're like, wow. That was a lot of work. And then the judge kind of admonished us outside the court and said, listen, you guys aren't DEEP conservation officers. What are you doing? You're city cops. You know, I said, well, we got the complaint. So I know it sounds, there's rules for reasons. Geez, if I caught somebody doing something, some vandalism, I would probably tell them, guess where you're gonna be on Saturday morning? You're gonna be here scrubbing the paint
That's what I was gonna
and
bring up.
redoing the damage you did, cleaning the damage you did. Now, I used to do that a lot. We had a graffiti officer in my agency. That's what his job was, to stop graffiti all over the city of Danbury. And we had great success with that. But we had to marry the graffiti officer, that was his full-time job, with a juvenile review board. Where as a juvenile offender, instead of going to a juvenile court, you go to a local JRB. We have a JRB in town, but we don't have a graffiti officer, and we don't have any of the pieces to put that kind of program in play, although I think it's an excellent program.
Well, Steve can tell you, we had vandalism at Brigade. One of the fields last year, 2 years ago now.
That was the one where,
Parked it at the high school.
well, fix the
So,
field,
T-
right?
Steve, tell me, was it the camera though that showed you the
right.
van, and then you went
Yeah.
over to the high school and started driving around, you found
No.
the vehicle?
You?
He did it
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, I'm all aware of this case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing, because then Steve's And rightly so, local kid, stupid,
Dowski.
he ended up working for Steve.
That's the-
You know why he did a great job? He used to be a school resource officer. And he thought like one. Not all of our cops think like that. Dowski did a good job on that case.
That's, cameras can help with that kind of stuff. If it's a local kid doing stupid stuff, maybe these lavatories, I don't know. But if we had some cameras, maybe we could find something. Now, Steve found the car himself. But I realize
That's
it's,
a gadget.
Not many, many.
Wasn't tough.
that's a great story,
But the kid made a mistake.
right?
He ended up working us for community
Swear
service.
quick.
We offered him a job afterwards because he was a hard worker. He unfortunately took a summer job as a park and rec counselor somewhere. He asked him to come
Not
back
a
this year.
supervisor, lifeguard. Yeah.
I got in trouble as a juvenile. Dad, and
Never.
and the juvenile judge, we had a juvenile court, and the judge told my mother, what does he dislike most? She goes, he hates to go to church. He gave me 480 hours of cleaning St. Joseph's School in Danbury. I've seen juvenile offenders that have stabbed somebody in the maximum 75 hours of community service. I did a prank at the school and got 480 hours, and you know the priest made me do all 480 hours. But that's when I hit the police officer after, later, it's like, you chased by the cops, and then I got home, chased by the cops. So I had to start chasing. And when I started working with teens, I was like, we're putting too many kids into the system that really don't deserve it. But there are kids that need to go into the system. Well, our pendulum swung so far over now that we don't put anybody into the system. So the ones that we really should be prosecuting aren't really getting prosecuted. The ones that we should be saying, hey, listen, I want you to go and clean this mess you made. What happened? Why did that pendulum swing? Because parents started saying, hey, you can't tell my kid what to do. So when I was interviewed by the news last week several times, they're saying, what's chief, what do you think? What do you think? Well, it's a breakdown of the nuclear family. I could go all night on this stuff. You know, I don't know I don't really know what the simple answers. I know that if we, maybe you had an excellent opportunity with Dusky. That was great. I wish all of them were like
That was
that.
fun.
I also believe that if it's a kid from Berlin and he's playing on your fields, well, then we gotta educate them. But if they're from Fairfield and they're doing ball shots on your fields, we're not educating that person. They came in with a specific intent.
But we combat that with putting more fences, more gates, more money in to protect the people.
Yes,
There was no gate at the entrance. Now there's a gate.
Right, right.
yes, more money.
Now it's getting the leagues to lock the gates, shut the gates, prevent people from driving on the fields.
Yeah. I would never tell you not to call the police. Always call the police. You might hit it when a person is right down the street and not on a call, and they get in there, and actually the people are compliant. We have never seen so many in the public non-compliant with police in this country. It's actually a challenge now. You know, if the police officer talks to me, I don't have to listen to him. And oh, by the way, where's that messaging coming from? Coming from our politicians, our local governments, our parents or lack thereof. The kids in schools talking. Hey, you know, the cop grabbed me. I told him, don't, I don't have to listen to him. It's totally respect. And that also goes into why nobody wants this job anymore. It wasn't about power trip. I worked with hundreds of police officers in my career. I've probably seen 4 or 5 that were really bad. Everybody else comes in here very idealistic. They just get destroyed by a system that isn't working, and we all know it's a major problem. Hey, I used to chase people. I used to catch people. I used to do something with them. Those 3 components don't even exist anymore. I think maybe trying to get, if it's local kids, trying to get them involved. Taking responsible action. It's gonna be hard, because parents are gonna give you a hard time. I'm not so sure I would approach a person right now. I would have to look, every situation is different, I have to gauge.
So-
Are they 12-year-old kids, or are they 16-year-old kids?
Right.
A 12-year-old kid, you can change that person. A 16-year-old kid, they might be armed. Well, there was a shooting last night in Florida. Lakeland, Florida police officer shot by a 13-year-old. Not only did the kid shoot the cop when he was chasing him on foot, but he dropped an empty magazine, reloaded, and tried to shoot him again. The police officer shot the 13-year-old. Both of them have survived. They're going crazy, burning down the city of Lakeland, Florida, because the police officer shot a 13-year-old after he was shot. We're in an upside down world. I wish I had better news. You're right, I am not the most cheerful person that you've seen tonight. And so, but I can honestly say a couple things. First of all, our officers, we have community response, community relations teams. So Berlin is 3 towns, right? Kensington, Berlin, East Berlin.
Yeah.
And that's how our patrols are set up. 1 officer in Kensington, 1 officer in Berlin, and 1 officer in East Berlin. And we also have those areas listed as our community relations teams. So there's some officers who, in addition to their duties, are your community relations officer. So one of the pushes we've been doing for the past year is trying to reinvigorate neighborhood watches. We had neighborhood watches before COVID. COVID became the excellent excuse for everything that's wrong in this world. So we stopped watching each other, we stopped watching our properties. Most people don't want to know their neighbors and all that. Now we're having people having all these quality of life issues. So we're back to trying to get, and we're actually making strides in getting our neighborhood watches back up. So maybe. Now I'm thinking off the top of my head here, because it just dawned on me. Why don't you have your coaches and your teams that use these fields, create like a neighborhood watch thing where when they're coming in, if they see somebody on the fields and they're getting ready to set up to play a sport or whatever, they gotta get them off the fields and tell them to pick up their trash, or when they're leaving, you know, maybe take a look around, make sure everything's good before they leave. Make a notation, hey, guess what, as I was pulling out, some car was pulling in, you see a license plate, you know, write down the number. This all goes back to that multi-trillion-dollar post 9/11, if you see something suspicious, say something. You wanna know where people say stuff to us? On Berlin Buzz. It is absolutely the worst thing you can do, because you are putting it in a place, we don't have anybody monitoring that, first of all. And half the stuff that's on there, some of the videos, they're shocking me, but some of it's true, a lot of it's false, kind of like our media right now. Pick up the phone and call the dispatcher and say, look, this is what I got. I was just at a ball field and we just ended our little league game, so we're leaving. We noticed a couple cars pulling in, and here's some license plates. Can you get somebody over there? If they get license plates, you know, we can probably do some investigative if we don't get there and get them. I just made a plea with Public Works people that a good program that I had started when I was in Danbury was to have our Public Works drivers call in suspicious activity too. They have a radio system. We monitor it in our dispatch center in an emergency. And so Ahern and Solwick and them are going to work on that program. I brought it up at the meeting just last month. These are little things, but they can make a big difference. I know you guys vet who rent your properties because I've seen some of the paperwork that comes through that I have to sign off on, you know, some of the permits and all. I can tell you're not the only ones having this problem. It's every age, every community has these problems. When I was involved in, I built a Board of Ed in Milford, we built a new high school, $69 million high school, as the vice chairman of the board. And the first week the fields were done, these guys came with these monster trucks and tore up the fields. They did several $100,000. Right after that, the Board of Ed said we need to put cameras on there, put cameras in the field. And then for a while, the police chief in New Milford had a laptop that if something happened, he could monitor the cameras. Didn't really work out the way they thought, but once word got out that that was happening, and the police kind of were able to grab a couple vehicles there over a period of about 2 years, they kept telling the people, hey, listen, you understand the police chief sees you. He wasn't really seeing them, but they got nervous and it kept the fields good, you know.
So that was part of the reason why we were, you know, looking for more cameras. It really, I mean, is more of a deterrent. And just 1 or 2, right? Just like the kids or some of the parents. I can usually tell, for the most part, if I'm gonna have a problem, right? So I'm very careful with that. But the thing is, you want to have some type of deterrent. I mean, the fact that we put in the newspaper that we're gonna put cameras at the field to protect them, the police will be looking whether you want.
That'll work for a little while.
I understand, But it just, we get something there where we actually to catch somebody, whether anything happens to them down the line is another thing. It's more of a current kind of.
I think if you're talking to some of these kids, you're confronting them, and you can get their names and find out if they're Berlin residents or not, then we could probably tie it into through the school system and our SRO. Does a really good job at the high school, but he's high school SRO. We had to get rid of the SRO in McGee because before I got here, they didn't have enough cops. And you know, they can usually find some kind of non-judicial thing. And then maybe have them do the repairs and stuff like what happened with Dosky's, excuse me, his case. Try and get more of that going. The kids talk. They talk to social media and
We're
all.
trying to get the word out about damage and everything,
But
citizens,
don't forget, your young people aren't reading that.
yeah, no,
That goes-
just the young people aren't, it's the parents, if they do, but. But really, we haven't done really anything. Other than that, like the cameras that we installed, should we be telling people that we installed them? Why not, right?
Spending money.
The worst thing. I don't wanna say it, but there's an easy way to take care of some turf fields very easily.
Steve will be happy with that.
And that's what and we're gonna put $1.8 million, maybe $2 million at the high school for another turf field. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's gotta be cameras on this stuff, but my question is, should we be telling the public there are cameras now installed and leave it at that?
Because you're using it as a deterrent
We
effect.
are using it as.
We'd rather deter crime than have to respond to crime.
Right, exactly.
And
And if you don't tell them, they don't know the cameras are there until something maybe happens, and then only if word gets out, right?
Steve, you put up a sign?
Another sign.
no sign.
Hey, I just spent $600 on a sign yesterday.
Oh, it's such a.
I'm talking about those.
I'm not saying, I think this is all good ideas.
No, it's fine, but
Well, yeah, and I think it's because of things that have been happening, I mean, there's a story behind it. And, you know, all the, just like you did before, taxpayer money being spent, blah, 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 and then this is what we're doing. So if we can just catch somebody.
Well, that's always the best thing. If you can catch one person. And I hate to say it, but make it an example. You gotta get the word out. You know. If it's involving anybody 18 and under, it's just gonna be a juvenile spot. They're never gonna put names, they're never gonna put anything like that. But this is a small community and people talk.
the letter that we had sent in to the citizen that they didn't post, we did post on the town Facebook. And I think Steve even heard,
Because it was preventative, right?
well, we were hoping so.
Yeah.
And I think Steve heard from the parent
Coming off and still setting.
of the child that was involved of that incident. And our reasoning for doing it was not to identify him or make that, the case. It was a broader discussion, but obviously.
Well, you come across kids playing on a field, snap photos and post it on the wrong bus.
You know, here's
We
the thing,
take it the other way and we'll start publicizing all this crap.
well,
Yes, right now, buzz, we're getting hammered on the pool.
So you can do it because you're not sworn law enforcement officers. If I did that, I get arrested because I'm supposed
We
to.
can't do it, but
You
if we
know,
come
yeah.
across, we don't
You know.
confront the person, we snap a bunch of pictures.
so it's pointing at me.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, because you.
social media is like a big way to
I
get
appreciate the
information out.
fact how honest you are, honestly, really, really, it's very appreciative. But I feel like there's like a new reality that we have to figure out how to live in.
Right, to that point though. I don't know why we can't have a community forum. So, huh?
Yeah,
What is it?
from us.
No.
No,
I'm
You
talking
mean
about.
in person?
Yeah. With a lead speaker, I don't know who that could be.
Well, I do it every quarter.
Do you? But
I'm
what are
gonna
you
tell
doing?
you what. I'm lucky if I see 4 people show up.
Well, then we should publicize.
We got a trash and whatever problem at Roman High School. What are we gonna invite the neighborhood? All we're gonna do is yell at us.
All right, so listen. So everything he talks about, nobody really knows about, right? Seriously, about the fact that he can his budget's been cut by 4, but if he finds 4 people.
Everyone's gonna listen to this tonight, they're all gonna. I know, he can't come out and say that, because now, it almost makes me feel like it's wide open.
Oh, I'm sure I'm in trouble tonight.
It's like,
It won't be the first time.
yeah, and I mean, you just did a great thing the other day by posting the other stuff. I felt like, wow,
Oh, that letter?
This and that, yeah.
Yeah,
was
that has
fantastic.
a lot of problems there.
But the other thing. Parks and Rec commissions, we have to-
I had everybody calling me, the people I work with now, in tough situations, like, how did you even put your name on that? I got told the other day that now it's 27, their frontal lobes aren't developed till they're 27. You know,
Hey, it was nice to see it, because it almost made you feel like, okay. Someone's caring, someone's listening, someone's out there doing it.
yeah, no, and at the,
But now talking to you now, I feel like it's like about a handshake we got pulled out.
I mean,
Well,
listen,
you
we have a
would-
managers meeting every month. Everything he's saying, I hear every single month.
she's sick of it.
And it's. That's
Well,
right.
because
I
we
mean, they
meet
just-
here and we give her and
Can't get
him
in.
our.
I'm well aware.
Why are we putting $1 billion field out there and we're not protecting it? You know? It's not just, I mean, I'm a taxpayer, it's all our money, it's all out there laying there on the turf.
But.
Comments have been very eye-opening.
Oh, so good.
Listening to this discussion, it's just kind of stunning, but it's reality.
So I don't disagree, but I think that we have to start somewhere. I don't know what it is. But, whether it's involvement or just listening to you and all the stuff that you have to go through. And it's like a revolving circle going nowhere. So at some point in time, you gotta figure out a way to put a stake in the ground. Just one, all right? I don't know what it is.
But it's like he said, it, stake in the ground is all of our youth leagues. Our youth leagues go out to Sage Park, they see somebody playing cricket on Sage 2, they know they're not supposed to be there. Why doesn't the youth league pick up the phone,
Right,
send a text message or an email to somebody? We are our own advocate for our own
and
property.
he also said lighting works.
Right.
We gotta think about.
Nighttime lighting definitely.
So
works.
could we put lighting, even at Percival, down at the parking lot where they have the party and they
So,
put
yeah,
the.
Everything costs money.
Yeah.
Everything costs money.
No, I understand that, but if the town council is doing things.
Oh, it's not on Tuesday night with the town council today.
Yeah.
Because that's at least one person that has to work, but
It's been an hour.
So I think, yeah, you know what? I think this was a really good discussion. You enlightened us very much. We appreciate
You guys
your
want some
time.
Christmas
I gotta
stuff?
move on.
I'll send you a Christmas card.
You gave us a couple of things to ponder, think about, see how we can do it. And in the meantime, though, we will pick up the phone in the event that we see something.
They were just razor wire.
And to the extent that anyone feels comfortable, please go to the council meetings. To try and support the police officers, obviously, and
But I'm very supportive of the police department generally. I mean, one of the things when I came up here for my interviews for this job, I saw signs that said, we, support your local police, and I think the police were even see any of that.
Yeah, but they knew you were coming to ask us for the sign.
No, I gotta tell you, after my first interview, I called my wife and said, yeah, I'm not getting this job. Cause I'm probably too, open.
Yeah, but
But you know what? I've been doing this for 40
I don't need
years.
to keep belaboring it, so you're competing against Rocky Hill.
Yeah.
They're offering bonuses, higher pay
Yeah, it's
rates,
a different community.
pensions, the whole, whatever. How are we different than Rocky Hill? We're the same size. Right. We're the same size town. They got Southstein Highway, we got the Berlin Turnpike.
Kind of.
We got, we got the same stuff.
We get two.
I know. I understand they got more money, but come on, I mean, really, I mean.
Why are you different? I don't know that
You're
answer. I wish I
good
did.
officers and you're,
Rocky Hill used to be Berlin. The chief just left.
I'm not gonna ask you to reroute and go through Sage. And my buddy's Tesla needs to be protected, you know what I mean? Maybe
No.
They just work more than your bonus.
Yeah, really. And I was gonna ask you guys tonight, could you please pave the front of Sage, put a parking lot in there so I can reduce the officer need for these football games? I know that's like a
We
sacred
play,
cow.
we play soccer.
So why, well, why can't that be a cadet thing? Why do you have to have actual officers there?
Oh, you, believe me, that was my first thought. And we actually deployed cadets at the fair last year. I brought in
There
cadets
has to
from,
be a brown line.
so you know what I did? I brought in cadets from Hartford, Danbury, Fairfield, programs that have been in existence for 50, 60 years. And we had a really good year out there. And we're gonna do even better this year. The union got nervous. They got nervous. Wait a minute. What are we doing? And then even in my own department, it's a hard sell. And I'm the chief of police and I gotta invest these people in that. And luckily, it's starting to,
So how do you
Start to
manage,
work.
with having only X amount of officers on shift, how do you manage a football game? You're
we're not, this is the problem that the
you're
schools
bringing
see.
in out
So,
of town guys?
Yeah, and like, Superintendent Benigni, right? He says to me, man, we got a problem. I can't afford these police officers. And I understand he can't afford the police officers because we don't have enough Berlin guys to cover the games. And so you're getting guys from New Britain, you're getting guys from Cromwell. Well, a Cromwell officer makes like $100 an hour. A Berlin guy makes a lot less than that. When you budget it based on Berlin prices and you gotta get people from out of town, it's a problem. And we don't know what games are gonna be covered and which games aren't. I've sat down with the command staff. I said, well, what are we doing there? We have police officers parking cars, but you also need officers to do the traffic on the turnpike, because the turnpike, there's no way you would ever have a civilian or a cadet or anybody out there. That turnpike is a traffic accident generator. And I said, well, why do we have to park the cars? Like, to me, that's kind of weird. Why do the cops park the cars? Why don't they have the booster club for the red coats out there parking
Yeah,
the cars?
Yeah, Tony, it's not. Give him a man. Yeah, he's
Oh, my God.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, just get off your case, huh?
I didn't know that.
Give him a job.
I knew I should
You have
have
to
done
be
some research.
united or something. 'cause
Yeah,
when I-
big nut, give her,
Wow.
give a crossing guard.
Again, I mean, it's really it's a multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional issue that we should be trying to work through. And then believe me, if I didn't have to put 5 cops out there, I wouldn't either. You know, last year the football team did pretty good and they had some big crowds in the end and I would anticipate they're probably gonna do good this year. You know, it's all about forecasting. We're trying to forecast. Probably forecast when every day seems to be crazier than the day before.
How many police officers do you have?
Right now, 38. That's everybody
You're
counting
down
myself.
8, and that includes you, you're down 8.
Are you on patrol?
No. I was. The lawyer told me I gotta stop going on patrol.
I think like Donna said, it's been a very enlightening conversation. It's been over an hour. I think we got the information that we're looking for. It was,
I got it.
we know you're
What's time
trying.
to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You keep the chances open. We will make calls if necessary,
No, always,
right?
always.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you don't call.
Yep.
I wanted to give you
and that's
what
what we
might happen.
experience for our youth groups over and over. So,
no, we appreciate you coming out. It's nice to meet you and welcome all those been here since.
I know.
October.
Since November ago, November 1st.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right.
thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Really.
Love meeting. Yeah, I do. I told him after I got done here, I had me. Love it.
All right.
Yeah. I'll probably find myself unemployed next year.
Hey, thanks very
Won't
much.
be because of us.
No, but I didn't know you were part of the booster club either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, the big part is it's my last year, I'm leaving. But I would love to tell them the police department wants the football boosters.
And you're gonna lead it.
And not
You're
sure.
gonna lead it.
Thanks for your service, too.
Just in the jacket. Well, it's only once.
A jacket. Have a good night.
Seriously.
If you get in a quandary, send me an email. I'll try and answer it.
We will.
Jen helped me out the other day because I missed your email. I missed a lot of emails this week. I don't know what's happening, but I don't see them.
It was a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's two emails. There's police chief. I don't read those. My administrative assistant does, so the
Yeah.
hint here is.
Yeah.
You know,
Directly
send
to
it
you.
direct to me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, any other audience citizens? Hearing
No.
none. Move on.
Jen has a pretty good card of repair stuff.
Can I have a
Make a motion to accept the minutes from April 19th.
Second.
second by Tony? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I can't, I'm staying.
Greg abstains.
Yeah. Okay. Consent agenda, we're gonna have another one added to consent agenda, but let's just take care of the first two first, A and B. So can I have a motion for consent? A?
I'll make a motion to accept consent agendas number A, it's letter A and B.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
all right, so on B, I talked to Jen about it, and then, and Dinesh is gonna, it says, except for entertainment of organized games on the field. And Jen has said they did not put in for a permit for the field. And we know in the past that they had that volleyball thing where they killed the ground next to Sage 2. So I don't know.
So he actually, I reached out to him finally,
Right.
and he finally got back to me. He said frisbee, badminton, and cornhole in the pavilion area. So if you approve, I can write back to him, okay, as long as you stay in the pavilion area because you have not rented Sage 2.
What's considered the pavilion area?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just telling you that's what his response was.
there's no,
When I did what you asked me
cornhole
to
might
do.
be possible. Frisbee, I don't think so, but.
So we honestly, we had issues last year in terms of.
No, we
No,
didn't.
year
We
before.
don't-
Year before, yeah.
He got canceled.
Last year he was
So that's
canceled.
right,
The
last year-
issue was he was booked on the same day as the
Right.
soccer,
Right.
which I was
He
never
asked
told
for
we
another
couldn't
day.
do. We've never shut down Sage Park for it.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
We had issues with the applicant last year and what was submitted. Because it was duplicate, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Right. So, to your point. I think we make a motion that if he's going to, well, we can't do anything. So. I'll wait.
So that's good.
No
So
games on the fields.
That's where my head's
Oh,
going, unless he,
Unless
He
he
has not-
revises,
unless he
Has not
revises.
rented a field,
right,
So,
so unless he revises that to try and rent a field.
which he would have to pay for and get a certificate of insurance. Yep.
Right,
that's where my head was going out after we had.
You didn't ask him, we talked, because he's charging $10. And the last year-
He's never rented the field, not for years.
Even last year when he put in his thing, it wasn't for volleyball. I thought it's
No,
because he has a
no.
whole huge day of volleyball.
No,
No,
volleyball
that
is
was-
played at
he even
Sage,
explained it.
volleyball is played in front of the kickboard.
Oh,
Right, that's why it wasn't. it's not-
They were gonna walk down through the backside of.
Because we said,
Yeah,
why do you,
that's
you
right.
know, walk all the way
Yeah,
around
exactly.
and, because the parking cars, go ahead, Steve.
Somebody gonna drive by that day or check out to see if he's using any fields or?
what day is it?
Sunday, the second.
Fourth of July week,
I did
I'll be here
drive
unless
by,
we're going
last
somewhere.
year, I did drive, and of course it was canceled because it was pouring rain, but I went over there because I wanted to make sure. So,
we can have a committee meeting there if you like on July 2nd.
Put a camera there too. You can check.
hey,
your-
the thing is, no fields are used. You're not renting the fields.
That's the
No
bottom
fields
line.
used.
That's-
Period.
So-
I
Okay,
can
so
stress that.
right now, it's. It's accept A and B, let's
Right.
revise it and just say that the motion was to accept A.
Right.
Okay, only, A only,
They only-
okay, so we have a motion to accept A, discussion.
No, just cross out.
All in favor of consent agenda item A? Aye,
Right,
Aye.
okay, A is done. Okay, consent agenda item B. We have a motion to accept B by Don, seconded.
right.
And now we're in that discussion stage, so.
I'll make a motion to accept. Well, we have to.
No, we can't.
We have a
we can't
motion
turn it
to
down.
accept. So now we're
We
gonna
have to
vote.
vote, we have to vote, we have to vote.
So as written for B, all in favor, say aye. Hearing none, B does not pass as written. Can I have a motion to accept B, but word stricken to restrict that there will be no fields?
So I'll make a motion to accept item B with the removal of no entertainment except for organized games on the field.
And
And
to add
and to
no
add
fields.
No fields to be used unless he reaches back out and submits the proper paperwork and pays for the usage.
And approved by the commission.
And approved by the
Because the use,
I'll second it.
okay.
I got one.
Did you get that?
Yeah, she's good.
There's enough time for him to come back.
Yeah,
He could rent the field the day before.
All in favor? Joe?
No,
Joe,
Chief was gone, so he brought
Joe!
entertainment.
Maybe one.
All right.
Oh, wait.
I'm not gonna wait.
I was
Joe.
trying to go off of mute. I'm sorry. I'm in favor of the way it was just stated by,
Okay,
And
is
I,
that you,
so you're
Tony?
an aye. So you're an aye.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was Don, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's okay.
That's all right.
Okay,
Okay, we have a new item to add to his consent agenda. It's to request approval for Berlin Youth Football and Cheerleading to sell food and beverages at their home football games at Scalise Field for the 2023 season. Okay, so do we have to vote to add it?
you have to vote to add it and then
Alright.
vote to approve it.
Motion to add that.
I'll make a motion to add,
I'll
consent
second it.
Item, right, item C.
item C.
Item C.
Seconded, any discussion on
No, now
adding
you
it,
now
on
you
adding it? None hearing, none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
It's added.
five, nothing to add.
Now, could we have a motion to
I'll make
accept?
a motion to accept a consent agenda item number C, which allows the midget football and cheer program to sell food at the upcoming season.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, guys. He literally came in my office, had all his paperwork all filled out yesterday morning, like, yeah, I'll just add you on.
Thank you. Okay, all right, next on the agenda, discussion relocation of September commission meeting. So, you know, with comments on Hubbard, the more Dinda Bittner pool. And we talked about it before. What we'd like to do, what I'd like to have the commission do is that we hold a meeting at Hubbard School, invite people from the town, but specific, you know, more focused on East Berlin, to listen to comments, ideas about what we might want to consider for that complex. And it might be that we want to open up the pool again, given, you know, if we have enough staff in the future. So I'd like to have the September meeting at Hubbard School. Everybody okay?
That's a good idea.
So I just want to throw out, you know, that's the Thursday of Burlington weekend. They open up. I believe that's.
Sorry, you open up one.
Thursday's the
September.
night for the fair.
Yeah, it would be.
So,
Parking cars?
could we do it Wednesday? You guys want to check on a couple of dates and see if there's a,
I would rather push it to a different Thursday. We know Thursdays work for everybody.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out.
no, I'm glad you did. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even think
Yeah,
of that.
no,
I would not be able to attend anything on that.
okay.
Yeah, so I would rather look at the 7th or the
So
21st.
that would have been September 14th, right? So is the 21st? Or should we go to the 7th? The week before? Tony, you're gonna be tied up?
Either one of those days.
7th or 21st? Do you guys want to check your calendars just to
How
make
about
sure?
the?
I'm up.
Yeah, all right, so we'd like to have you there, Debbie, especially so.
So
Wanna check the
Donna,
time?
we're talking about going from the 14th to the 21st?
No, now we're looking going from the 14th to September 7th for the commission meeting.
September 7th, I could support.
I'll also have to reach back out to Hubbard and see if Hubbard
Does
has.
that seem okay for right now?
Same time
Did
today.
you guys check
I
your?
don't know anything if my football schedule comes up. I'm understand.
Video conference.
I'll check September 7th and I'll also check it out.
All right.
Because I already have the 14th at
If
Hubbard.
it doesn't work, I mean, you guys are key, so if it doesn't work, then we're gonna have to do another night other than a Thursday.
Does it have to be September?
Yeah, I mean, do we have to relocate the September one? I mean, what is the purpose of? What are you trying to accomplish at that meeting?
Get input
To
from.
solicit ideas of what to do with that complex.
Right, so
In the
it's
event,
awful to switch it to October.
do you want to do October?
I'm just throwing it out there instead of trying to reschedule our,
October twelfth?
I can do
October
October.
12th, Debbie?
October's fine.
That's our preference,
because then we could keep
October
the September 14th
October
meeting
twelfth. That would be
as
great,
scheduled, right?
yeah.
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 And Steve, you can do October, right?
October's fine.
October 12th, all right, I will reach out. to
That's our
Hubbard.
standard meeting.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to Hubbard and see if I can book it.
Yeah,
down.
it was gonna be after school gets back, October works, it's just
I
people's
understand.
thoughts are gonna be,
Close, yeah.
okay, great, okay.
So September meeting will be as normal and we just know Tony will be absent that meeting.
And maybe- oh,
So
yeah.
the October meeting,
Steve will do it.
Steve won't know.
We both should be out of our busy part of our season, but
Move
all
on.
right, okay, all right. Next rec.
I'm sure everyone's gone through my monthly report, so I'm open for any comments, questions.
I was addition to.
Well, first one was pretty good with the younger kids. The second one was good, but I think the second hour was pretty much down.
Yeah.
So,
weather was-
but people they stuck around, they give a lot of credit and they still said, thank you, it was great, so. You know, I think people like the format, it's very informal, you don't have to be there the whole time, you have to be there for prizes, and I got some extra, like the last prize we gave out for each derby at 5 of 10 with the $50 gift card to Dick's, so kind of gave the people that were there a little bit extra, so, yeah, I mean, I think it went pretty well.
You're gonna bring your own worms, so
Whatever they want to fish with.
they gotta bring.
Yeah, they have to bring everything. We don't provide fish. Don't provide anything. But they catch quite a few. I mean, I was, even the little kids.
They did. The little ones had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I was
surprised
surprised that they caught as many as they did. And that day was like perfect. The weather was perfect. It was nice.
I was told they, the stock is 1.5.
No, I was wrong. It was a 15-inch. 15-inch. I was very early when I was telling people that I didn't have my coffee yet, so Saturday was pretty early. So, yeah, it was 15 inches. I actually, the guy that stocks it held it, when we were, yeah, so see, I'm clarifying. That was my
That's funny.
15 inches. It was
I
good.
caught two the
size.
next day.
You did. Yeah. That's-
You happen to see the news tonight?
I did, yes. So,
Exactly.
so I had two,
Exactly.
two emails, I had meetings this morning, so I didn't see them. I had two emails and a voicemail from some channel 30, but the time frame they wanted was 11:15 to 11:30, and I didn't see anything till after that, so not able to respond, but yeah, I mean, it is all over the state. The country, but our biggest thing is really supervisor, not necessarily the lifeguard portion of it, and I think if we could have gotten additional guards, I think that we could. It's that supervisor aspect of it.
So you need a college student for that or somebody that?
Someone that's responsible, yeah, it's a tough position, it's not like everyone thinks lifeguards are great, you're in the sun. When an emergency happens, you need someone that can respond and act when someone's life is not fine. And most high school kids are not capable, in my opinion, of doing that. and I've supervised these kids for the last 2 years and have earmarked, and Kate Moss, who helped last year do some training, also suggested a couple people that she thought could be good supervisors, but 2 out of 10 is not enough again and you can't just throw them in with no experience. Now they're supervising their peers, they're graduating from high school, and it's a big responsibility. So we are looking to train them this year and get them ready, and I have another person who, a new staff member who I think could be good in the future, so, it's hard, but it's a big responsibility, it's not just, let's,
You just need one supervisor?
no, I had 5 last year, I have 2 this year, and that's the problem. And 5 was stretched, because the supervisors are also the swim instructors, they're also the swim team coaches, so their hours are spread out throughout the whole week, they're always there to do the guarding of the pool that you need to have done, so, and people take vacation, so, it's a juggling game.
It was frustrating because they were in Berlin, then they immediately switched over to East Hartford. East Hartford said he's gonna be 100% staffed accordingly, right? And then they go over to the beach and they speak to someone who talks about the shortage that they're having there and so forth and so on.
Yep.
And then they come back to Berlin and then they make one comment about us and then they close.
Yeah,
It was.
And
it
then
was
on
mostly
Facebook,
coverage.
they're saying that it's BS because somebody told them that we had enough staff and that the applications they didn't even. So if you read that comment, you can see one local resident claims that somebody told her that someone told her.
Yeah.
Someone told.
well, for high school typical lifeguards, yes, that's correct, we did not, because we did not have the openings. So,
So again, the newscaster was wrong because they specifically talked about lifeguards. They didn't talk about
Right.
super
it's the
supervisors.
supervisors, right?
So you maybe need to go back and tell that person to clean her act up at the news. Get her stuff straight because she was reported wrong.
I've been interviewed by it's, and whatever you say is not what is.
No, I agree, but we,
Frustrating.
but we look.
Yeah.
Debbie, so the other towns, how are they?
All right, so I reached out to Newington, Rocky Hill, Weathersfield, and New Britain. I unfortunately did not hear back from New Britain and Weathersfield. I heard back from Newington and Rocky Hill, and they are going through the same thing. But they did have, Rocky Hill, they do promote their high school seniors into supervisory positions. Which again, if you have the right person, that's good, but if you don't have the right person, then it's a liability. But they said that internships are coming earlier, so they're losing their supervisors. Our pay is right in line.
What do we pay for the
So
supervisor?
we pay $19.50 for an assistant director or $18.50 for a head guard. Newington pays, well, they have a pay range, we don't. Their head guard, which is their person in charge, is $19. It goes $19 with a 50-cent increase. We only do a 25-cent increase up to 21, and then their assistant guards are 18 to 20. Again, with the same thing. So we're right in line.
We're right in line.
We're right in line. The same thing with Newington, and she said the same thing. They typically need 6 supervisors. They had 4 return. But she said she worked in another facility that ran into the same thing, just not having those older kids who are mature enough and responsible enough to lead staff and to, emergencies. And believe me, I've been to a drowning. You can't just throw a kid, like you need people who can handle that and hope that they can handle it. And most high school kids unfortunately cannot do.
And who knows, right? Some of these other towns that are saying that they're 100% staff, they can be 100% staff with non-responsive people.
Right.
And then they could
Right.
be in trouble. At least
Right.
we're Debbie's doing the due diligence, to make sure the person's there, so.
Well,
You gotta have the infrastructure
Yeah,
before you.
exactly.
and again, I've been through a drowning. It's an awful experience. I don't remember, it's over 30 years ago, but I don't believe any of the guards that were on duty that day came back to work the next year. I think one worked for another organization, but the other lifeguards, and they were all in college, and they just, because of the whole situation, they did not, they just gave up lifeguard. So it really, like, you know, it's
Changed
more
their
than
lives.
it's more than just sitting out in the sun, getting a tan. It's
It's a responsibility.
and I think, I don't take it lightly because I've been through that experience. So maybe I am a little bit more over cautious than other towns because they haven't been through that, but I think I'm doing it, you know, with the public safety in mind, not doing it because it's, you know, I want to shut down a pool. believe me.
Right.
That's the last thing that I would.
But Newington's able to open up their 2 pools then with their 4 supervisors?
Yes.
They're gonna
Yeah.
open it.
Yeah, and so
The Rocky Hill has only,
Rocky Hill has indoor and outdoor.
yeah,
Yeah,
indoor at the.
indoor at the high school and then outdoor at their parks.
And they're gonna promote from the high school state.
Sound park.
Is it open there? Yeah, so, well. I mean, he said, yes, that's what they do because they've been losing people. So he said, you know, they
He's
try
taking
to.
that risk and
They,
like. you
well,
said, like
right,
that.
because if you haven't had the situation, it's, you know, I mean, everyone's trying to provide the services, which is great, and I, again, I'm not trying to provide the service, but I think there's a huge liability that people don't think about when you're not in that position. And, you know, they've been fortunate to do it, he said, you know, they used to get supervisors, so his comment was, you know, they used to get supervisors for 3 or 4 years, and now you get like 2. And you just kind of have to keep people in it. You know, I also looked at when, because this comes up all the time, when our pools open and when they close. And just about everyone's opening June 17th, which is when we are, and just about everyone is closing either August 12th or 13th. So we're,
It's short
but
term.
Weathersfield, because I didn't hear from them, but I looked, so they have like a pond or something that they.
They have
staff
Millwood's
a little
Pond.
longer.
I used to swim there.
At Mill Pond,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, what?
My grandfather.
Yeah.
So they have something that goes a little bit longer, but also, you know, Rocky Hill, Newington, they all do year-round pool swimming.
Because they have the
So-
indoor pools.
So they don't, and I asked Newington about that, and she said they don't necessarily have the staff, the supervisory staff working all the time because they go to college, but they do have lifeguards that work, so. I mean,
They get some
you get a
training,
lot
yeah.
more experience, I mean, 7 weeks isn't a lot, when then you don't do your skills for another, you know. 10 months, and then you have to come back and do it where other people, if they're constantly working, so. That's definitely.
There's Goldfish Academy, have you heard about them? So this company is well known throughout the Northeast. There's one in Manchester, it's indoor pools, and they do swimming lessons, 100% swimming lessons. So my 2 granddaughters have been out in Manchester, 18 months old, and she's 3.5, Brady's 3.5. It was amazing to watch. They pay $15.50 an hour for the lifeguards. I don't know what the supervisors are. They have probably 40 lifeguards. When we went, it's a half-hour lesson. 4-to-1 ratio is the maximum, except for the younger age, it's probably 8-to-1, because the parent has to go in, like with the 18-month-old, she has to go in. They're just opening up another one now in Cromwell, right next to Chicago Sam's in that complex. And it'll be interesting. They draw these kids. Now Manchester, I said, okay, they must be drawn like high school, UConn. But it's indoor all year round, and now we're gonna have one in Cromwell too. So. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting concept. It's expensive, very expensive. There might be some supervisors at some point. I don't know, but if they got a job,
I mean,
it's indoor.
It would be great to have them from within, so you have these kids and you train them, because then they do things the way that you want them to do it. But again, I don't want to keep saying COVID, but COVID was a factor, we didn't hire 1 year, so I went from my 5 supervisors last year who were sophomores in college, who are juniors this year. And then I don't have anyone until my high school seniors, so that year, and then there was another year, that's where the gap is, that we didn't hire those kids. So it does make a difference, it catches up with me. I'm hoping, I have a new aquatics director this year, who I want to really work with the younger staff throughout the season. And I also am looking for him to, we will be able to offer lifeguard training again. We haven't been able to do since we're COVID, so that will, you know, get our kids certified. That did help us something here, so I think, you know, hopefully things will turn around. I'm just not sure the interest is there like this.
So underlying all this is the fact that if we had a senior center, a community center pool, that would probably have lifeguards at it, probably benefit from the outdoor program too. I'm just saying.
That's all again.
Yeah.
You do, yeah, I mean, you do the best you can with what you have.
But we also have to remember that pool is 50-something years old. It needs some major work.
Yeah.
There is no funding appropriated as of right now to fix the pool. And we're looking into the pool liner, I believe we're something like 18 months out. So we're still looking at 2025.
25, right.
And that's kind of one thing we wanted to make known is by closing the pool and shutting it down for a year, we can't guarantee the quality it's going to be. We saw all the remarks on Facebook, oh, they cleaned the pool. But we have to clean the pool. We have to make sure it stays clean. Because if we let the pool get disgusting and nasty, we have no way of cleaning the pool. Now we're looking at an ice. So
Yeah, more problems.
there's a lot more, this year the problem is Debbie can't find any supervisors. Next year, we have a problem with a pool that is sat empty for 2 of the last 4 years. That leaks 5 inches of water a day. That leak is just gonna get worse over the next 18 months. Then comes, do we want to put $300,000 into a pool that was utilized by not as many people who want?
Right, 20 people a
This
day.
is our way out of the
That,
pool.
that's the next part. That's the October meeting. And we have some work to do to lay all that out.
You don't have to actually, vote to close it. You have to reopen it.
But we still have to maintain, keep it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes.
So basically. I've been meaning to tell Jen this for a while, and I've been telling Debbie. So when you go into the community center now, we have 2 nice, what are they, 40-inch,
Yeah, one's 50 and the other one's
40 screens
5.
that tell people. It's an information board.
Oh, good.
What is in each room.
That's great.
A lot of
That's right. And it's pretty cool. And we've got one by the front entrance, we have one when people are coming off the elevator. Very well thought out. And not only that, we've got all the holiday, we've got the blow up,
It's all Debbie, stop looking at me.
No,
This is all Deb.
I told him it was.
Yeah.
I know, so, well, I know, because, and what she's able to get these blow up, holiday, what do you want to call them?
Inflatable.
Inflatables, yeah, from the money that she makes out of the vending machine. And she's got all holiday, which is, Memorial Day, 4th of July. She does a great job, and I'll tell you,
Every month we have
Absolutely.
something, yeah.
We get a
Yeah.
lot of compliments. We get people coming in just to take pictures inside the community center now.
and not only that, I mean, I'm there a lot, but I have to tell you.
Every day.
Oh, it's not
For
every
the
day.
record, a lot's definition is every day.
Yeah.
In the office, every day.
Yeah.
He misses one day. I haven't been here. in a
But yeah,
while.
that's right. But anyway, but the thing is, it's the
Walks in today,
cleanest
it's like,
building.
"You're in a
I'll
while."
tell you, that place is always clean, including the men's room. I haven't been to the ladies' room, right? Yeah, but I mean, listen, it's always clean. Floors are neat and clean, the bathrooms are clean. I mean, we do a great job, and Deb does a great job of all the other stuff. Whether, no matter what the season is, there's always something there, makes it alive.
And I know we all want to get out of here, but
Yes.
camp sold out in 3 hours. 7 weeks of camp plus the wait list sold out in 7 hours. In three hours. I saw someone on Facebook complain about that.
1
It made me
hour.
Mad, because it's like, that's something we should be proud of.
Right.
That's a successful program that Debbie runs that.
Last year we had weeks that didn't fill at
Yeah.
all, and this year we sold. And
respond
I
then.
was shocked.
I can't ask town of Berlin.
It's right, it's right.
Yeah.
I can't engage.
You can't win. You can't win.
That responds back to the nice.
Road was.
I think that's on the website.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right, Steve.
All right,
Rapid fire.
rapid fire, here we go. I'm sure you guys read both, the March and April reports. If you got any questions, let me know. I think, maybe I'm remiss of not saying this enough of how short-staffed the grounds department has been. Spring season. Currently, right now, we have 5 employees inside of our department who have less than 3 years' experience. My foreman has been out, for quite some time. And with spring sports starting 3 weeks earlier than they ever have. Next week, 2 weeks from now, we get all of our seasonal back, which is May 22nd, and it's the last week spring sports for the high school. So when I mean these guys have been stressed to no end, I mean, they're working 11-hour days, 10-hour days, they're working Saturdays, and we can't even keep up with the grass. So kudos to the crew with everything that has to be done that's going on, unless you the large event at Veterans Park, all the flowers that need to be planted. You can't predict. This will be the what, 5th or 6th day in the last month that's been over 80 degrees with a greenhouse with 6,000 flowers. And that the amount of effort and time that these guys have put in. And you're right, there's a lot of things that aren't getting done, and there's a lot of things that we just can't do because we just can't keep up with. We get requests all the day, every day, and they just sit on the back burner. So hopefully, with getting all of our help and all of our new employees starting and getting 4 new seasonal helps in this year, it's going to change things. But you guys asked Debbie the question about staffing. I thought we paid a pretty reasonable salary. Newington is paying $4 more an hour than we pay. Cromwell is now paying $4 to $5 more than we pay. Rocky Hill is going to be right behind Sioux. So I don't know how we're going to be able to get summer help moving forward when we are $5. And kids don't want to work. They want
It's factor because of your budget.
No, nobody ever thought that towns would start paying $21 an hour for a seasonal landscape.
Remember minimum wage 15, everybody was balking at that.
I mean, so they're paying to retain anybody they possibly can. So kudos to the guys. I mean, if you get a chance to see them, I mean, they've done an amazing job, and I don't know how they do it. We have 2 guys mowing the whole entire town, and that's all they've done. Because we don't have anybody else to mow. And we have to start the parent personal pool, wash and drain each grown pool. We have 55 gallons of paint that have to go 2 coats on the personal pool. We have all the concrete repairs. That pool has to be up and running by June 1st. There's so much that's asked on these guys, and that's not including every other committee that in person they need something. The fishing derby the VIP fishing derby that was postponed and then changed. The amount of work that goes into that. There is so much stuff. The cemeteries, it's never ending. It can go on for hours, but that's it. All right. Anything I want to report? Cameras. So we have 5 cameras up right now around the building of Scalise. We've got some great footage, great coverage. We think to continue picking up quite a lot. We were out there today. The Jumbotron was turned on Tuesday or Monday. I think it was Tuesday. This Jumbotron was turned on, fired up. That is all running. They're already using it for high school events, except for the visual part of it. That's going to come with the training. They took the bucket truck. They went up on top. They put a Wi-Fi extender on the back of it, shot it up towards Zipadelli. Zipadelli seems to be the field that we're having the most vandalism problems with. We came across somebody shot out both lights at Zipadelli. So we were able to get Wi-Fi signal from the scoreboard to the telephone pole. Pretty good coverage around there. So that is going to be the next place that we add another camera will be Zipadelli. The problem with that is then at that point, I don't understand IT terms, so sorry. Once that's up and running, that system now is at max until we buy something else to build the camera systems from there. We have no way to get Wi-Fi access to pretty much anywhere else without trenching, digging, and hopefully maybe when they redo the parking lot, we'll be able to do this. Currently the system, Jen has access to it, IT has access to it, Doug Solik has it, and I have it. I think that's the end of it. And it's all recorded. Like in 1 week, they filled up 1 terabyte of memory of the amount of activity that is out. Any questions on the cameras?
So what do you do? Unless you hear something or you see something later on, then you go back to the cameras to see what happened.
I usually the first thing I'll do is I'll scroll through them in the morning and see if anything pops up throughout the night. like I said, the 12 vehicles that pulled in there at 10:22. But we had already been in contact, and we already had something in place, if anything was to happen throughout the night, we would have had everything up and running. So we know certain weekends are gonna be busier than others, so we have a way to come. And the video is good enough that I'll get to that in a couple minutes.
Why
The
did you
videos,
feel, why did you feel you knew something was gonna happen that night?
because the night before, somebody went and flipped over the porta potty, the handicap porta potty. They then put it on Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Well, they put it, well, they did. They
Yeah,
put
they
it
put
up.
it on Snapchat. The whole entire inside of it was covered. United Site Services came out, they cleaned the whole thing, they had everything good to go Friday, just in time for Saturday's game, but
And
they
there
were,
was a game on Saturday, so
They
he
were-
wasn't gonna sleep because he was worried about it.
they were unused. But we've kind of narrowed down when we know a lot of the activity is gonna go on, but like, to the credit of the cops, we're driving through that.
Has the problem been fixed with the Wi-Fi where,
I don't, that's gotta be aimed towards Doug Solid, or
I'll ask, but basically the, whatever the score at Zipadelli sometimes shows up at state softball.
it's a frequency problem that they're.
Yeah.
It's a Bluetooth connection, they're both on the same frequency because they were both installed by the same manufacturer. So instead of the combination being 1, 2, 3, 4, it's gotta be like 5, 4, 3.
Vandalism, I think we kind of covered all that.
Vandalism, I think we nailed that. Field usage, so. I guess what I can say is we've come across a couple of instances where people have been utilizing fields for practices, games, cricket, and other events that they have not booked the facility, they have just gone out there on their own and used them. I think getting a better grasp on who's supposed to be on our fields, when they're supposed to be on our fields. One thing I can tell you is with these cameras, I can tell you that nobody used our fields on Sunday. Because one camera shoots up at Sage Auxiliary, and Sage Auxiliary shows that every single team practices only in the South Pole. If it's lacrosse, soccer, whoever it is, they do not go north. If the camera sits right there, they only carry one goal up and they just sit there and beat. So any complaint that comes across,
He's right, the whole south, the penalty box and where the, what do you call it, the lacrosse things are, I mean, it's just all beat up in there.
because nobody moves.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I know the girls softball team showed up to
All we can
play.
do is ask them.
That's it.
That's all we've done for years. We had the
We
same
got
problem at
water
stage
problem.
one when Burlington football played there.
Yep.
Ongoing problem. Happens at every single field, no matter if it's high school or youth sports, doesn't matter.
So we had the meeting, the youth sports. Let's tell them, we wanna talk to them, the discussion
Is
is.
that working out? I mean, are they at advance week ahead?
Oh, so, let me finish the field usage. So we have that part of the field usage with what's going on there. Softball team showed up to have a game on Saturday. As they got there, there was a group playing cricket in the left field or in the right field or whatever part of the field they were playing in it, and whoever was there got mouthy with the team who showed up, like, well, you guys supposed to be here? And they're like, yeah, we have a game. And that was kind of the banter that went back and forth.
This is stage one.
This was stage 2.
Oh,
When I showed up,
No,
they were,
so
when I
they
showed up,
were-
there was like 6 guys congregating
Yeah.
on the front lot, because they had relocated their cricket game.
I got you.
But Jen and I talked, it's not 10, I can't say it's a gathering, I can't tell them they can or cannot do it, it doesn't meet the requirements of a gathering. I think that covers field usage, Jen,
We do have an idea, I mean, if it's the same people that has always been there, Dinesh and Hyrule, who is in charge of the Berlin volleyball team, they either know who it is or they might be involved. I could send an email to them and threaten the rest of their volleyball reservations if you guys are behind that, or we can wait and see if somebody catches them.
The other thing too, there's also rolling bands of
There's an
Adult
adult
soccer
soccer group, yep,
group
same thing,
that
no idea
goes
who
from
it is.
field to field to field. Now they get, like, Andrew showed up at McGee, and when he showed up, they moved out to the outfield, right? He said he was there for a McGee drop off Friday night, and that same group was playing on McGee. So. Means, I don't know.
Same thing, we don't know who it is,
I say you send the email.
to the cricket people. Like I said, I don't know if those two are
Just
involved.
you can ask very
Dinesh
nice.
has sat here and
You
listened
can
to
ask
this.
very politely,
Right, I
see what happens, but,
Do that.
and he, being a former member.
I mean,
hopefully help you.
just reaching out.
Yeah, just reaching
That's
out.
fine.
And let them know the commission that, you know, feel
Right.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Any help would be
Do it.
greatly appreciated. I wouldn't say anything we're gonna take away volleyball.
Okay, I'll
But just see if you can help us.
Yeah,
So,
soccer, we have no idea who it is.
so the challenge is that you have people that are taxpayers in Berlin saying, why can't we use the fields? And I guess the answer is, you can use the fields if you get a permit and pay for it, right? So, you know, that's the challenge. you're gonna face.
but so that discussion, who are they? They're asking you?
No, I'm just saying, you hear.
You
people-
think that's?
No, they complain about it. I mean, I got some, 2 years ago, I got some people that were playing in the outfield to save. And I said the same thing, listen, you guys can't be here. okay? The police are coming by and you can get a ticket. That's, it was a different.
But wait a second.
But they say they're taxpayers, why can't they play? I told, you can't play on this field because it's an outfield and it's locked, that's number one.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I thought, so you're telling me, if I wanted to go play a football game at Sage Two, they're from, with myself, my two nephews.
You're good, you're under 10.
That's what I.
As long as somebody else doesn't have the field reserved.
Right, but it's the 10, it's the number 10.
Right,
So in this situation with the cricket,
yeah, they're under 10.
there's only 9.
Cricket, I'd like to address.
There was more, I
It's not a
told it.
cricket field.
Cricket has
Right.
been addressed numerous times over the
Right,
years,
right.
so even though they're under 10, I'm all on board with addressing it with them. We sat here, well,
And
in
they're
room
on
four,
I remember that.
and we said, what do you need from us to have a cricket field? Come with your dimensions, come with your kind of
We didn't get
material,
anything.
and we never heard anything.
So why, so they're complaining to you about that they're taxpayers?
That's what, no, there's, why can't, well, I mean, I can deal with the field situation.
Right.
Right, that's one thing. When they go to open spaces, that's what they do. They're trying to find an open space to play, right? They just want to play. I get that. But you know, the same thing applies, right? But somebody's got to
But
be able
that's not an
to
open
enforce.
space, the outfield. It's not an open space.
Well, not that, but it like, they'll go to the outfield at that, what they did, Abe said, they went to the outfield between McGee and.
You're saying that somebody knows what's going on.
So
and
we
nothing's
need
being
to-
said.
Right, we need to tell you.
Right.
Right, yeah, so that's,
See, that's it's communication and everything should go to Steve and Jen, correct?
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna ask the same of the youth groups if we get to that, point, right? Please, if you know something, please, you know. Here's a list of things that have been noted.
Pam Heaps from Berlin Youth
And
Lacrosse has
these-
called the police numerous
They're
times
ruining
every
us.
season.
They're ruining the field, so what are we gonna do? We're just gonna continue letting them do it, or can we help you do something?
You have to get the word to them, they have to use something other than the cell phone. Because now the complaint from the athletic director is that field is in awful shape. There's nobody should be playing, nobody using it. Your teams are the ones
That
not
create-
utilizing the whole field,
Right. So let's, so.
and it's on camera. So that's, and we have to educate the
this is
field users.
lacrosse right now?
It's all, it's
Anyone that
grown,
uses
it's
that
it's
field.
every.
High
So,
school youth lacrosse
why-
and soccer.
so how can we help you get that word out to them?
I-
Does it help to have them?
You know what you
come here?
do? You know what you do? From that side, chain the goal to the fence, so they can't move it. Make them go move the one down the other end. There's your option.
No,
What do you mean, no?
whatever's on the chain, they're gonna go to.
They're gonna drag it all the way from that end to this end? You gotta be kidding.
We can send, so what Steve and I will do is we will send an email to the groups that it has been affecting. We will say that if it keeps up, Steve, let me know if this is okay.
Right,
If
give them
it
what-
keeps up, we may need to close the field for repairs.
Just walk up there and look at it, just walk up,
It's torn up.
That's just,
but you're
But you're a user.
you're part of, you're soccer, and you guys are part of it.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing.
There's no, yeah, but.
No, the only time that we play on play, I've got games on Saturday.
It doesn't matter, it's practice, it's any.
I don't practice it. I practice it first.
But can you take the
You were
information
the
back
one,
to
you were the one who text messaged me at 11:30 at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. With deficits into the fields as the field coordinator for Berlin Youth Soccer. And you won't step up and say something to the people who are misusing the fields.
All right.
I have an email today and a text message today regarding a small hole at the bottom of a hill in the middle of a 3-acre facility that's coming from the field corner, but you won't address the people who are damaging the center field of your JV soccer.
So the only thing I will say to you is, we don't use that field a lot. I think we use it for, let me think about this, during the week.
You were there all day Saturday. It's on video.
No.
You guys there.
I said Saturday, we've got,
Okay, but when you're
But it's
there.
not going back and forth. All we're asking is, Greg, take it back to a board meeting, please. That's what we're asking.
All these groups, including your soccer, when you use that field, you use the entire field. You don't use part of the field, you don't use a section.
right,
We need you to use the whole field.
well,
He has it on camera. I don't care whether it was 1 day, 1 hour, whatever, you use it.
The adult,
You being you soccer.
the adult soccer group is nice enough to carry the 12-foot goals from the south side to the north side and play this way. And you can see them carry the goals all the way down to the opposite side.
Because they understand about the
Right.
field.
Like, how did the,
Not
how
enough
did,
to get a reservation, but enough to treat.
Yeah.
I promise, John, so the next thing is,
Yeah, pay overtime, don't we?
So tell me, so
She's good, as long as we're great.
No,
I think we have to get the
Another hour.
word out to all the groups to please try using different sides of the field.
And here's pictures of the damage that has been done.
So,
Are you gonna do that?
yeah, you're gonna send an email?
Yep, Monday.
Okay.
Don't wait for us to do that. It's okay. I mean, to me, you see
Go at it.
damage, you see,
We-
you go,
We
you go
met with
ahead.
these people. We gave,
guys okay
we
with
gave them an option. We told them if they didn't comply with the options, we would have to take necessary
Right, then
measures.
we can't.
And necessary measures, including, I remember saying, we will charge them for the repairs.
Yep.
We will charge them for that work.
Right, we did say that.
So I was able to attend the Berlin Little League board meeting on Monday. We had a very rough start to the year with a lot of miscommunications, and I think Monday's meeting was fabulous and went for about 30 minutes of kind of what each other is gonna expect of each other, and it seems it's gonna go perfect. They agreed to have a coordinator for softball, a coordinator for junior Little League, a coordinator for games at it for the minors, the majors, T-ball, and what's the other ones? Farm League. So they're all going to be in charge of their own facilities. They're gonna have a facilities supervisor of each facility on Sunday. They're going to email their requests or any field needs they need for the week. So this week, every Sunday, we're gonna have a Rolodex of everything that's going on or any deficiencies. One day, I think I had 6 different people email me 6 different requests. So I think we've put it, that's gonna go perfect. That's going great.
Okay.
I asked them to remove some of the things that they have on their fields that are doing damage to their fields. Garrity and Puccini both have these tarps that do not belong on there. Garrity's mound is getting ruined in the front of it. Puccini has the same problem, they're leaving it on the grass, it's burning the grass. George Sadalino and them, so they'll get rid of it with Dante, and they're all gonna buy right mats moving forward, so that was fabulous. The last thing I have, and it's not on here, is what is your guys' feelings on these 10,000 yard signs that are all over our fields, properties, parks?
The ones that especially go out when the youth groups are registering.
Oh,
So sign up for
Right,
soccer,
sign up.
sign up for Little Lacrosse, sign up for Little League, register
Kate,
here.
Berlin, Pro, Sell Your House, American Red, like, if you drive around and look at it, there is probably 20 different signs throughout all of our facilities. It was brought to my attention of why is that allowed and other ones not allowed? And I said, I would ask.
it's not part of the signage
Right,
proposal, so it should come
I
off.
don't know why.
Right, in order, I thought we have a policy that you want to put a sign in the park, right?
Right, well, on the fence. Well, so where?
So
what
there's
signs are
a
you talking about?
sign, like ground sign.
Yeah. Signs.
Yeah.
So where are they?
They are at
Like
volunteer.
Like you see in that Millard School, like.
You start from East Berlin, Hubbard School,
Yeah.
Hubbard
Well, any of the
Field,
schools, I can
Principal
tell you,
Pool,
we put,
the Grove. Willard High School had at least 13 last week.
Yeah,
Just
I've
this
seen
is how the
those schools.
schools, Centerelli, Community Playground, the Park on the Ridge. the Meeting House, Dennehy, Centerelli.
No,
All right, so,
Should not be, they should not be.
some
on
of
the
them are
fields.
mine, clearly. Shredded, car wash, there's all night grads on things that got
Right.
put out. All of that is high school fundraising signs. There's a problem in Berlin with advertising. We used to be able to put banners on the overpass. And then they started letting us do it. They demanded we take them all down, they put a misspelled sign on there, number. we talked
I
about this.
remember
Okay.
that, yeah.
So now the thing is, we all start doing lawn signs everywhere, right? And then somebody's turning around and complaining about the lawn signs. They complain and they call a Roche. Who then sends out the new zoning officer and he picks up all these signs, including my signs. And I had to go to the zoning office to get them
When did they do that?
recently.
Oh,
Like,
but how about people's, like,
Go to the office. I guarantee you, right?
well, yeah, I found some, I said, where the hell are my signs?
He had about 40 signs in there that he went and picked up one day, including mine, and then he doesn't tell anyone.
Yeah,
You have to find out.
I told John, I said, somebody took out my signs.
You're supposed to not put it within 5 feet of the road, 10 feet of the road. But, then again, if no one's saying anything about it, it's just the wild, wild west, we're all out here. Everything.
Oh,
Blood drive,
Cars are,
everything.
they shouldn't be in parks, they shouldn't be on fields. We can't say anything about schools.
So
No, yes, we are responsible. I am responsible for anything outside of that. field.
Mrs. Eustace gives permission to everybody to put a sign on it. So, the blood drive signs came up because there was a blood drive that was supposed to be one day event.
and that's not
But
part of
that's
the
not school.
ordinance because school property
It's right,
isn't a park or playground.
it's right along the street.
But the track is a school property.
Right, so according to the ordinance, to post on any tree, stone, fence, post, wall, building, monument, or other object therein, any bill, advertisement, or inscription of any character unless authorized by the Park and Rec Commission or the Conservation Commission. So does lawn sign fall in that?
But they said,
And so
I
we,
know,
I didn't realize,
It's a tough one.
we enforce it regardless whether it's on the parks and fields, it's anywhere.
No, this is specifically for parks and open space lands.
So parks mean in the corner of Sage.
Parks, anything outside of the building is a park. Soccer West, Biscaglia, the
right,
track,
right.
that's all my land, that's all,
Field
it's all
is defined
encompassed
in
by
the
the.
park definition.
Sure.
So any field is defined in park, but your strip of land on, at the high school, that,
On Patterson Way.
right, that's not us, that's not part of
Right,
the ordinance.
It
that's
falls
not
on the
part of-
grounds.
Right. But it's not.
And they
part of it.
oversee,
We put 3 signs on
We
the
don't
corners of the
oversee roads.
parking lot entrance off of Patterson Way.
They
But
don't
that's
do
a
parks
school,
and
that's
everything
not
else,
us.
that's our
Right.
department.
Exactly, they went and asked her and she said.
Parks, playgrounds.
We don't have jurisdiction over that. I will
Over what?
for Patterson Way,
Correct.
right.
The
But
grounds department does.
you can do that.
Right, so
We can
grounds.
turn around and say nothing in the parks, but we have to then enforce it and take the signs down.
the complaint I got is there was a sign that fell over on the front of the high school. That was laying on the grass. And the lady called and complained that the sign, why is there a sign laying on the grass and why are there that many signs?
Blood drive. So somebody from the Red Cross, because I was there that day, somebody from the Red Cross that morning, they were holding a blood drive. They came in, they stuck all those lawn signs right
And
there.
then they leave them.
And then they leave them.
Yep.
They do that at the
So-
community
Community
center.
center.
The last time I went and I picked them all up. This time I saw them fall down, somebody back up again.
They always leave them. They never take. them.
They tell us that.
So I was always told that if there's signs on town property, to remove them.
Well, if that's the
If
direction
that's
you
your
got,
directive.
then that's what you do.
so in the town property, like in front of the schools, like we put soccer signs up for registration.
You
There's
can't
always
advertise
signs there.
voting, you can't advertise anything.
But then you gotta tell everyone, make sure that the message gets out.
Put that,
somewhere
you know,
to-
from the grounds crew or something, just put on the town site.
Everyone
No, I-
knows.
well, no,
It's a
I-
reminder thing.
Just to, you know,
reminder.
okay, yeah.
Matt, just asking your guys' opinion, just asking me, I'm asking you.
I don't like the whole thing either. I like my banner. That's the one thing I want.
It's-
It was, and I was so angry. I went 3 people, I went to Chris Ed, I asked him for his help. Because they
If that's what you were told to do,
told me no.
that's what we should do.
Yeah.
And that we should.
But as the commission, you can only support
You
the
can only
parks,
support.
the parks
yes, I
and
understand.
playgrounds, not like.
But if you're gonna allow them
No.
at Sage Park or the
Yeah.
playground, how do I not allow?
I'm not allowed.
You're not,
So your directive is if I.
Oh, absolutely. No, we said no signs.
Yeah, we said no signs.
Right.
We said that. That's in our policy.
So all the
The only
Berlin
sign
Bears
is-
cheerleader signs.
We agree. You
Yeah,
can
but
post on the
there
page.
should be nothing, there should be no exceptional thing. The corner that I got, 2 signs taken off of was, Norton and Fort Rock. Okay, I put them right next to the stop sign and put 2 there. That generated a call,
Oh, really?
and the guy came out, took them down. Drive by there now, there's 3 signs right on that.
Because no one
Other-
called to complain.
So other things, they're not fundraising signs, or other,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I have signs,
So my answer to him is that, well, then you gotta be equal.
Right.
Never let anybody put a sign. And take mine down.
No, that is
so
true.
on the corner,
But you can't control Norman.
on the corner of Kensington
Control
and
it.
Norton.
But I have to. right.
The Alpuses live there. I always ask if I can put a sign up both ways, right? And they say, fine. So is that, part of that's gotta be town property, right? I'm guessing.
It's not a parcel that I maintain.
Good.
First few feet, but they also took the signs down off the.
So you got 2 people enforcing it. You got the enforcing officer coming from the town, from erosion. and
I
you
would
have
just put it
you
on
have
your property.
Steve,
It's
who's
not on the other
enforcing
side.
it from-
Remember?
Well, man, there was.
Isn't there a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it on the list.
It's in the corner.
They did, it looked like on the side.
We gotta-
The mobile station.
You gotta go.
Next one. DEP grant.
Right, so just as you're gonna send a reminder, is there gonna be a reminder sent out?
I will send a note to all youth, it's mostly youth groups. I mean, it's during registration time.
And what about like the schools?
I don't oversee school property, so I can't.
So maybe just a note to.
But maybe the town
Somebody
put out a
needs to
meeting.
tell everybody that.
But, you know, recently, we picked up all these lawn signs or whatever, that people
Yeah, that would
put
have
in.
to come from planning and
Youth,
zoning.
it's coming from the town. Please know, no signs on town property, whether it's, whether it's schools, whether it's
So
whatever.
here's the thing.
I can ask her.
Maybe there needs, well, there needs to be some approval function. Why wouldn't they support nonprofit stuff like the Booster Club or the lacrosse or soccer from putting their signs up? That's the stupid thing, right? What's the point?
What he told
It's
me
your rule.
was that he
It
was,
is my rule.
It's the
he
partner.
was instructed to go get it.
Right, say no signs. We have it.
No, it's not, I'm not putting signs up at parks. I'm putting signs up on the street. I put it in front of my
But
house.
you
okay?
don't, they,
There's
you gotta go to the town manager and complain about that.
That's why I'm
We're
saying.
talking
no,
about our specific
Tchaikovsky
part.
Bakery always has.
Yeah, but all in front of schools, like, put
Registered
next to the
lacrosse
sign.
Right,
Yes.
but what Steve is saying is
Sage
that
Park Roadway
this
has.
outside the school is considered a park property.
Part of the gen, it's a grounds,
No,
not a spot.
no, it isn't.
So
It's ground.
Grounds, sorry.
If it's a field,
grounds.
if it's a field, it falls under the ordinance of
Right.
Parks and Rec Commission.
Right, and we're saying no
If it's, if
signs.
it's that stretch down Patterson Way property, Steve maintains it, but you guys have no oversight of that.
Right, but it's just one rule for the town, because Erosion's enforcing it, you know, for other.
My brother came that he's.
We need,
We'd have to see how Roche feels. But McClatchy Park is, you oversee
right,
McClatchy
right,
Park.
we do,
Right.
So your rule and your ordinance that you just said.
yeah.
So he actually asked for permission. And Lucy said, no problem.
It's not his.
Who said it?
Who's this Apache?
It's not
It's
his.
town property.
Yeah, but it's not.
Put whatever you want on
It's
it.
a town park.
It's not maintained by McClatchy, it's maintained by
Right,
the
it's
town
town
borough.
property.
You oversee it.
Get me the fence back.
Give me my fence.
Get the lawn signs in.
So while we're on
I
signs,
will talk to a Roche.
here's our last thing on, my last thing on signs
Okay.
is the high school has requested do signs be posted everywhere at Sage Park. And they're gonna enforce them where the buses park, where the trainer parks, where the police are supposed to park, where the grounds are supposed to park. I heard this. You heard this?
I heard about this.
So I said, so that this was a huge big deal. We gotta get this done. It's gotta be done now. $600 in signs. I texted Schmaltz. I said, I bet you a cup of coffee by 3 o'clock, everybody's parked illegally. 2:37, everybody's parked illegally.
Should have been.
Yeah.
We actually put up those signs and that was it. Yeah.
So we wasted $600 and our guys' time putting up signs for it not to be enforced.
Well,
Do you,
okay,
do you know
so-
what he did?
Well,
He
why?
emailed the chief
So
asking
so
to
where's
do
the
something about it.
Right, so why, first of all, start at the beginning. Why was the signs requested? What was the problem?
Because they're having a huge problem at high school events with people parking haphazardly wherever they want to park and they want to get control of this.
Same thing where
And
it's
so-
behind the high school.
Same thing.
So
Someone's
you got-
And he wanted signs.
Oh, and by the way, they're figuring out because of cameras. So they know exactly who it is. and
He
who's
wanted
parking.
signs behind the lights,
Yeah.
and we said, no one's gonna enforce it.
My response to anybody who wants signs now moving forward is
Fill out a form,
you pay for them, we'll put them up.
$600, unbelievable.
Plus your time.
Plus our time, as being
So-
short staffed.
So there's a sign there that
We
says
can't get a police-
buses only in that little space.
It's on the ground.
There's 6 signs that say buses only, buses only, that's on the ground, please research.
Yeah, the coaches always park
So
there.
the person that asked you or told you or wanted these signs, is he aware that it hasn't solved anything?
Yep.
Did you talk to him about it?
Yep, I even sent
He
the
reached out
video
to the
of his
chief.
coaches pulling it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the coaches park there.
No response. There has been no response to Schmaltz's email today either.
But he reached out to the chief. We know how that will go.
That's a security officer.
Yep, Schmaltz. Okay, DEP grant?
So you're having fun, huh?
I love it.
The best thing is the lacrosse coaches come in and they don't follow the signs going around and they go straight in.
Rules don't apply to them.
While starts.
They already are.
Okay,
Doesn't matter, I'm done.
Thank
with
you.
everything.
DEP grant?
Deep, you already talked about the scoreboard, Viscaglia is going well, we have a contractor, we're working on it, the budget is very, very tight, there were some unhappy people about certain alternates not being done, we are having a meeting with a lot of people on Tuesday that will discuss the budget a little bit more moving forward and we'll see
You're
where we're
saying
at.
alternates.
There were 8 alternates listed on the bid.
Okay.
As of now, the top 2, which are our priorities, we look like we will be able to do. Scoreboard, either solar powered or hardwired with field electrical boxes was part of for 2 alternates. The B logo plus the yard numbers plus the arrows on the field were alternates.
This is Viscoglio.
Yes,
They're putting a scoreboard there.
that was one of the alternates. You just asked me what the alternates were, so I'm going through what the alternates.
I understand, but I didn't realize we're putting a scoreboard there.
It was an
Track,
alternate,
right?
yes.
Are we getting bleachers there?
One of the alternates was moving the turbo jab and the jumps inside the field. That came out at like 310,000, so that's not happening. The AD's aware of that. We knew that was a long shot, so that's not gonna be a problem. They're gonna do turbo jab with, they're just gonna have to buy new turbo jabs with plastic tips, so they're still gonna be able to do it on the field. And what am I missing? I'm
Light
missing-
pads. Light pads.
the
numbers.
the 2 priorities we're doing are the light pads, so we can put the temporary lighting up. And the 10-year maintenance contract and warranty, which allows us to get 2 field visits each year, which we have already seen as a huge positive, which we did at Scalise Field. I'm missing one more
B,
alternate and I
the
can't
B.
think of it. The B, the B, the yard marker, yard lines, yard numbers.
Power box.
So those are some of the alternates.
All right, thanks.
There's rumors that Board of Ed may try to find money for something, but we'll find that more out as we go.
the high school AD understands the usage of that field.
That is a conversation we will have once, what our plan is to get the project going on what we're doing, meet with the contractor, get him specs and everything, get him off the ground, get all the turf material ordered, and then have a meeting with all fall field users of that field, which is high school, Berlin Youth Soccer, Berlin Youth Football.
Right.
And then bring everyone into a room together to discuss the usage. This fall especially is going to take a lot of coordination within the groups. It's gonna take a lot of compromise within the groups, and we're hopefully, a lot of them are already on board. They already know that they need to work together to make their schedules work this fall, so I'm hoping there for a lot of positivity coming into that meeting. And they're looking forward to it, so, and then future going down the road, that would be discussed once we get through this fall. Because this fall, not having that field available as well as not having Percival available, we're gonna have a lot of field usages. So that's our priority right now, is to get through this fall, and then we'll have more field usage conversations as it goes on.
So Biscaglia should be done for the fall, right?
No, substantial completion will be done at the end of October.
For cost, Jen, for the grant and everything, because you mentioned the parking lot, right? That was, if there were monies left over, the parking lot at Sage was gonna be targeted with.
There was
grant
any
funds.
money left over, the first thing that money was allocated to was the lights at St.
There will most likely not be any money left over,
There won't be any,
most likely.
so. There won't, so that parking lot's not gonna be done for one time.
Parking lot was gonna be after the lights anyway.
Just as a quick comment, there's never been any discussion about bleachers.
There was a discussion, we looked at possible locations, and through the conversation with the AD and Eileen, it was decided that it would not be part of this project.
We're going to add bleachers or any type of structure there. We need to make sure we have proper adequate ADA paths to get to the bleachers and have ADA platforms connected to the bleachers, such as you see at Zipadelli and Safe One and Schlesnow.
So, you know, without having anything there, isn't the situation worse for handicap? I mean, it's worse for us. We go to a track meet, we stand on the outside of the fence.
Yep.
You know, everybody just walks along, hopefully the lawn's cut. Stand there.
Yep. It'd be the same. And you can walk, if you want to walk down and stand on the track and watch. You probably stand on the track. There's not gonna be somebody telling you can't stand on the track.
If there's a soccer game there, I'm sure people will bring chairs, just
I
like.
mean, you're gonna be, we're putting in a
We don't
handicap
put chairs,
accessible
Sage
walkway
Auxiliary,
coming down.
people find places to sit, they bring their chairs.
There's plenty of room outside of the field. to be able to
Field
put a chair.
within the grass.
But you're gonna have an ADA path that comes down to the track. You're coming to watch a sporting event, and you're on a walker. There's no reason somebody's not gonna let you go out to stand on the track.
So, yeah, okay, so if he does actually have a soccer game or a football game actually there, yeah, I can see you going in, have your backpack chair, you sit on the track, whatever.
Yeah.
You decide, there's plenty of room for that. But in the future, the track meets, you know, that still, that's the track meets. Because, you know, start finish line is at the far opposite end.
I mean, I don't know if they throw javelin at the same time they're running the fence on the track.
They do. They do throw that one at the same time. Okay,
Well, javelin's right on the center.
no. Must be done after.
So there's no reason that the parents can't come and stand on the synthetic turf and watch the race. Just thinking outside the box.
That'll be something Dave will have to coordinate.
We weren't as depressed as the chief.
Okay, anybody interested in seeing Little People's Playground at all, or? Do you want to have an informal meeting, if we can have an informal?
You have 4 people, it's a meeting and minutes have to be taken. You don't have a budget for someone to take minutes, so myself or Steve would have to take the minutes. Because if it's at 7 AM, I'm not going.
When are you going?
Anytime, it would be helpful for all, I mean, I could tell you, because Steve walked me around, but it'd be helpful to have Steve there at the same time. So if you want to see it, or you want to understand, you know, what the issues are, or if you understand it, that's okay too.
Or if you want to do groups of 2, and then we don't have to worry about it being a meeting, that's cool.
I'm happy to go and review it, but so what's the purpose?
Well, we don't know if we're gonna get any funds from the surplus, we just don't know yet, and chances continue to decrease. And we're gonna get.
You and I were spoken,
Do we seem like we have a shot at getting it money?
you and I were spoken about, so
The budget not even approved yet, it's just sort of the town.
I don't know that one told me.
All right, so you're all set. If there's a need or whatever, I just want to make sure that if there's any possibility that we can get some funds, that, you know, we move ahead with this.
That was part of the meeting though, too, when you spoke about it.
Okay. Any other discussion, Joe? Sorry,
I'm all set.
okay. Can I
I'll
entertain
make
a
a
motion to
motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I know
Thank
it's
you.
a long meeting. Appreciate it.